Jax is going to be the next character to abstract in the amazing digital circus. Or will he? Many of you have been wondering what's been going on with characters abstracting in the amazing digital circus. It's a really interesting concept with a lot of open ends about it. And I have a lot of theories about what could be going on. But I think I just solved this mystery once and for all. But enough yapping, let's just get right into it. Now, when you think of what happens to a character when they get abstracted, you probably think they either went insane or even died. But what if I told you that's not the case? Instead, they found a way to escape. This is proven when we look at how Kaufmo abstracted.
You'll never know until it's too late. I've been looking for this. Thanks for keeping an eye on it, Coffee. I'm gonna head out. See ya.
But if we want to learn who's going to abstract next, we need to talk about Kaufmo the Clown. Because he is very important for understanding the concept of abstracting, because he is the only character we've seen that's abstracted on the show so far. Kaufmo was a clown, always trying to cheer people up in the digital circus. But things didn't go well for him. The other characters didn't find his jokes funny. That really bummed Kaufmo out. As time went by, Kaufmo started acting more and more unusual. He kept yapping about a way to find an exit out of the circus, which in turn made everyone else treat him worse. And you know what happened next? Well, I think we know what happened.
Oh, Kaufmo, listen! I know we didn't always get along, like when you called me out for fake laughing at your jokes. I swear I really did think they were funny. I was just having a bit of a bad day!
It's also been confirmed by the creators of the show in an interview that they had too many characters in the show and one of them needed to go so they could add Pomni in the circus. And there have been many incidents like Kaufmo's that have happened in the past. And these previous incidents of people who have abstracted can help us find out which character will be abstracted next. As we can see in the doors of the room, if you look really closely, you can see 6 people who have been crossed out. And I think that the X's over these unfamiliar characters we haven't seen before indicate that they've already been abstracted and have somehow left the circus. So let's investigate. There seems to be a dog, which we don't have much information on, a sock puppet, which we also don't have a lot of information on, a blurry image of another jester archetype, kinda like Pomni, some sort of pink monster, and a bird. But most importantly, there's a black chess piece, and this one is interesting. Her name is theorized to be Queenie, but other than that, the creators gave us no more information about her. But wait a second, isn't there already a chess piece in the amazing digital circus? That's right, this brings us to our first character on the chopping block of being abstracted, Kinger. He seems to be completely broken, potentially by the loss of his wife, and that can be a big stress factor for him. For instance, his constant panicking or tendencies to be afraid in calm situations, he can be talking about something and then completely forget what it was, or just completely zone out and not notice the people around him. He is definitely the most unstable character. But now the question is, will Kinger extract next? No. If he thinks about leaving, he'll probably forget a few seconds later.
My impenetrable fortress!
You wanna come with us to check on Kaufmo?
No, not really. I think Kaufmo's gone insane. Last time I spoke with him, he was rambling endlessly about some exit. Kinda like you, Pomni.
But if Kinger's not gonna abstract next, who will? Well, now we gotta talk about Jax. Jax is the seemingly cool guy, but he might not be what he appears to be on surface level. He is theorized to be an insecure, damaged kid, using his jokes and mocking behavior as a defense mechanism. And I think that Jax is mentally crazy / crazier than Kaufmo. He's just better at hiding it. He will probably survive until some of the later episodes, or maybe even escape if he can do it right, because he knows how to handle these tough situations. But at the same time, Jax is a very big wild card, because on face value, he seems the most stable of the bunch, but I think he's definitely hiding something that we are not yet aware of, which could be a reason that he's always smiling. Like, seriously, why is he always smiling? I refuse to believe this is just a design choice. There is definitely something behind this.
Ladies first. No, wait, why would I say that?
Wait, Pomni's not even here? Wasn't this whole thing for her?
Be quiet. I can't hear the escalator.
So Jax is a maybe, but chances are he won't abstract in the second episode. But what about Zubul? As odd as it sounds, she might be the one to get abstracted in the next episode. It's kind of ironic to say this though, because she said that Kinger would be the first one it would happen to.
Man, I can't believe Kaufmo just gave up like that. I mean, no offense, Kinger, but I always thought you would be next.
Thank you.
She doesn't panic like Kinger, but behaves in her own unique way. She's rude, grumpy, and irritable. She doesn't like where she is and clearly wants to get out of the circus. But since she doesn't know how to do it, her tension grows and her mental health suffers. Zubul's identity problem is evident. She doesn't know who she is, which can be a serious factor for abstraction. Zubul is rude because her worst fear is love. When Jax was scratching her back with Zubul's arm, Zubul did not like it.
Was that an exit door I saw out there? Is that a way to leave?
What exit? If there was a way to leave, I'm pretty sure we'd have all left by now.
Although it's possible, I doubt she'll be abstracted in the next episode. But what about Gangle? She is a very unstable character similar to Kinger. Her mask controls her feelings and she is very sensitive. But also, Jax may be trying to help her reach her breaking point by breaking her mask.
So, Kane, we having a new adventure today for the newbie or what?
I believe that Jax is actually trying to make her abstract. So yes, Gangle could be another potential candidate for abstraction. But what about Ragatha? Ragatha has shown signs of going insane, but Kane managed to cure her in the early stages of the glitch.
I am in so much pain!
Ragatha is an optimistic character, but she may be hiding a touch of madness. She has been traumatized and very much so wants to leave. Especially with how she was treated in episode 1, I don't see her staying around much longer. And of course, we can't forget about Pomni, the main character. It might seem impossible for her to abstract, but in the Amazing Digital Circus, there could be a bad ending. This could result in either the death of a main character or her transformation into an abstract monster. Pomni keeps trying to convince herself that it's all a dream, and she talks about finding an exit. The situation in the secret room and the end of the pilot episode suggests that Pomni has started to lose her grip on reality.
Because we don't need to eat, drink, or sleep in this digital world. So the digital food here only gives off the virtual sensation of eating without any of the nutritional benefits.
Sheesh, lay off it. Since when are you an expert on the digital world?
Expert on the what?
Pomni is pretty likely to abstract next, because she wants to find an exit, and you remember who else wanted to find an exit? It was Kaufmo. Pomni could definitely be a potential candidate for abstraction. But finally, we have to consider Kane. Kane is a very mysterious character. It's also theorized that Kane killed his brother. In the scene where the CNA sign is shown, it's been theorized that that acronym might mean Cain and Abel. And we didn't see Abel in the game, so we have to assume it's Kane's brother. But the real question is, will Kane abstract? I really don't think so. I see him staying around till the very end of Amazing Digital Circus. But what about Bubble? Yeah, we're really covering everything in this theory. But I'm pretty sure we can count Bubble out pretty quickly because it seems like Bubble is just another one of Kane's NPCs.
Kane, is this one of your NPCs or is this a new sucker? Because if it's a new character, we're gonna have to redo this whole theme song.
That's about all the characters covered, but who's the most likely to abstract? Well, for that, I would say Ragatha is the most likely to abstract in episode 2. Pomni will never escape the Amazing Digital Circus. Or will she? Well, in this video, we're going to answer that question. And you better get ready because what I found might actually blow your mind. But enough yapping, let's get right into the video. Pomni was introduced in the pilot episode of the Amazing Digital Circus. And ever since then, she has been trapped in this digital world. From even the first few seconds of her being there, she was always obsessed over finding an exit to this digital hell. And as you may know, this world is ran by the AI game master Kane, who likes to hold various different games and adventures for the trapped human residents of the circus, who have presumably been trapped here for years. And it's not like there's no escape for these characters, because as we know, there are 8 abstracted characters that can be seen on the doors of the rooms, which means that there are at least 8 members of the circus who have previously disappeared. And this means there could be a chance chance for Pomni to actually escape. But before we answer that question, we need to look into it a little bit deeper. As we know, most of the pilot episode is seen through the lens of Pomni as she tries her best to navigate this new world with the help of some of the current residents without losing her mind, which is something that is very easy to do. Hence why the other characters like Ragatha and Jax try their best to appreciate the adventures that Cain puts them on in order to keep their minds busy. Because if you are not able to keep your mind busy in a place like this, it's very easy for you to lose your mind. In fact, many characters like Kinger and Gangle already seem to be at their breaking points, as shown in these clips right here.
They broke my comedy mask.
So, Cain, we having a new adventure today for the newbie or what?
Impenetrable fortress!
This path to insanity is typically rooted from the idea that no matter how hard one seems to try, there is really no way to get out of this digital circus. Which is why the other residents of the circus try to discourage Pomni to look for a way out, because the likelihood of it leading to disappointment and more agony is very high. But she can't really help herself after seeing the occasional exit door pop up out of the blue. And after she sees this exit door once, it is on her mind and she becomes even more curious hearing that another resident of the circus named Kaufmo has been looking for an exit as well.
You might be going insane too.
But wait, wouldn't that more likely mean the exit does exist?
Could also mean you just have a jump start and losing your mind.
What about Zubo? Well, I think I'd like to ask him about it, if this was real, which it isn't, because it's a dream.
However, by the time she and the other members of the crew find Kaufmo in his bedroom, he has completely lost it. His bedroom looks like something straight out of a horror movie, with the word exit written over and over again in red blood. His body turned from a standard-looking clown to some sort of multi-eyed monster with superhuman strength and the ability to make other things in the circus glitch out or completely disappear. You may be wondering what this has to do with Pomni escaping, but trust me, this all ties together. Pomni eventually finds the magic exit door while looking for Cain to help with the Kaufmo situation. However, what was on the other side was not really what she expected. The exit door did nothing other than taking her through a bunch of different rooms that looked like a standard office building. Over and over again, despite most of these rooms looking the exact same, Pomni would continue to push through, eventually reaching one room in particular that had an old-timey computer set up in the corner. After seeing this, Pomni began to really freak out, laughing like a crazy person, and even all of her teeth turning sharp, with the final door leading to a place called the Void, that Cain strongly encourages residents not to venture off into, because apparently even he doesn't know what's out there. Cain eventually realizes that Pomni is out in the Void thanks to his overall control of this world, and he eventually recalls her back to the main circus area where he has all the control. And when he gets back to the main circus, he finally heals Ragatha from the glitch. He also puts abstracted Kaufmo in the basement to spend the remainder of his days. Even though it looks almost completely pitch black in there, it's easy to see all the other colored demonic eyes in the sides, implying there have been other former humans trapped in the circus that have become abstracted in the past. Cain has to dispose of all these abstracted monsters. He does this so they can't harm the upper level members of the circus. But there seems to be one thing that Cain can't fix. Cain cannot seem to fix the abstracted members of the circus.
Kaufmo abstracted? Why didn't anybody tell me? And into the cellar you go.
And that's actually likely because it's all related to that character escaping the circus, which I cover in this theory, which you should watch after this video. But back to Pomni, is there really any possible ways she can escape the circus? Well, we have to consider that this world has probably been a thing for a while now, because Kinger, who has apparently been there the longest, has been there for 48 years. And the server that this game is running on looks like it's some sort of abandoned computer from the 80s, judging by the computer monitor. The computer monitor is an old FBAC, and the the general setup just looks a little bit off because this looks like a virtual VR world, and it's a bit strange that this is actually meant to be from back in the day. Although VR headsets did exist back in the 90s, they were very hard to access. So it would make more sense if all this was in the modern day. Then there's also the question of how all these different people got here in the first place. And at first I thought one singular computer was the main gateway into this world, but that actually seems unlikely because that would mean every single person in the digital circus would have access to the same specific computer. But it's more likely that it's just a game that once you download on your computer will trap you in this world. So with all of that being said, it is truly possible for Pomni and the others to get back to their normal lives. If the series decides to take that route in the future where they're fully intended to be real people in the real world, it would be important for the creator to show that. Kane also reveals that he was the one who created the series of exit doors, but he keeps it a secret because he doesn't like others seeing his unfinished work. With the pilot episode ending at the dinner table with everyone eating supper together, despite not actually needing to eat or sleep in this digital world. With the camera zooming in on Pomni's face as her mind begins to crack little by little, followed by an overall world zooming to the point where it shows the final setup of the same computer. The same computer that Pomni saw while adventuring the exit rooms. But now that we have all the background information, we need to answer the question, will Pomni ever escape? Well, first we have to consider this. As we know, Pomni and Kaufmo are very similar. Almost too similar. And it's almost guaranteed that Kaufmo saw the exits. He most likely saw the void, as well as the basement, where all the abstracted characters are hidden in the form of monsters. But if he went insane enough to get abstracted, we can only imagine what he's seen. But what did Kaufmo see that Pomni didn't? The computer in the desk of the office of the exit rooms. We all know that this computer plays some sort of significance in the real and digital world, as we see it in the circus at the end of the show when we zoom out of the void into the real world. So I have a crazy theory where Kaufmo discovered this computer and saw something on here that ultimately led to him getting abstracted, which is the only way I found that Pomni could possibly escape this world. So if Pomni wants to escape the circus, she has to become insane like Kaufmo and finally realize all of the information she has been missing in order to leave. Kaufmo from the amazing digital circus is still alive. And I know what you're thinking. How could he be alive if he abstracted in the first episode? Well, in this video, I'm gonna tell you what happened to Kaufmo, the reason he got abstracted in the first place, and find out if he's still alive. If we want to find out if Kaufmo is still alive, first we need to look into what happened to Kaufmo in the first place. Well, you may think the answer is obvious. What happened to him is a lot more complex than you would think. Kaufmo was a full-fledged member of the circus like everyone else. And if you listen to the intro of the episode where all the characters were introduced, originally all the characters' names were sung as they were supposed to be, including the part about Kaufmo. But as soon as his name was said, where is he? Instead of a real character, we just saw a cardboard cutout of the clown, which implies that Kaufmo was not showing up that day. Conveniently the day Pomni joined the circus, which I have a theory that Pomni is Kaufmo's replacement. It makes perfect sense because Kaufmo was a clown and Pomni is a jester, which are two very different things. And the creator mentioned that there were too many characters in the circus and they needed to get rid of one character to add in Pomni. But that's a whole nother theory for another day. If we want to find out if Kaufmo is still alive, we need to find out how long Kaufmo's been a resident of the circus. Well, it's not known for sure. Many people and myself believe that Kaufmo has been in the circus for only a relatively short time. This is proven by the clip where Kanger says Kaufmo has been acting more and more out of character lately.
My impenetrable fortress!
You want to come with us to check on Kaufmo?
No, not really. I think Kaufmo's gone insane. Last time I spoke with him, he was rambling endlessly about some exit. Kinda like you, Pomni.
This proves that Kaufmo's been acting out of character for a while, and he didn't just start acting like this overnight. This may sound strange, but Kaufmo is a clown, and a clown is the backbone of a circus. I mean, really, can you think of a circus that doesn't have a clown in it? My point is that Kaufmo was the star of the amazing digital circus before he disappeared. But what does this mean? Maybe every clown archetype that joins the circus automatically just knows a little bit more than the other characters. This is very easy to prove just by looking at the reactions of all the other characters when they talk about the exit. I'm more than sure if Kaufmo was with the crew in the first episode, he would have sided with Pomni immediately. And as we know, many characters characters have abstracted before Kaufmo. Kaufmo was a good-natured and funny guy who understood the horrors of what were going on in the circus more than anyone else. But even with knowing this, he still remained really cheerful and upbeat, holding the circus together. As Ragatha told us, our clown was always trying to make a joke or cheer everyone up in some sort of way, but not everyone appreciated it. Before the abstracted Kaufmo attacked Ragatha, she confessed to him and apologized for not appreciating all that Kaufmo has done for them.
Wait, maybe there's still time to fix him if we get caned. Whoa, Kaufmo, listen. I know we didn't always get along, like when you called me out for fake laughing at your jokes. I swear I really did think they were funny. I was just having a bit of a bad day.
But if we want to find more about what happened to Kaufmo, first we need to find out why Kaufmo abstracted. With all of our current information, it seems like all the characters who started going crazy ended up abstracting. Even Zubul ended up admitting that it was very strange that Kaufmo abstracted because she thought that Kinger would be next. Which is not too crazy to assume because it seems like Kinger has serious problems. He is very anxious, screams all the time, and behaves very strangely, and yet he is the longest lived inhabitant of the amazing digital circus. But it was Kaufmo who abstracted? We all remember Kinger saying that Kaufmo was always trying to talk about getting out. The obsession became Kaufmo's main problem, which led to his disappearance. In this case, one could easily argue that it's not the characters who suffer from mental disorders who disappear, but those who have gone insane with thoughts of leaving the circus, which would be Kaufmo. But I have undeniable proof about this that will tell us what ultimately happened to Kaufmo, which brings me to my next point. We've already seen that Kaufmo started out as a funny character, but nobody found his jokes funny. Maybe besides Ragatha, but even that is questionable. And I'm sure that this did not make staying in the digital hellscape easy for him. Gradually, he went from being a happy, cheerful guy to being a depressed man with obsessive thoughts that dictated the rules of his life. It's not exactly known what kind of relationship our clown had with the other characters of the circus, but we can safely say that at least Ragatha always laughed at his jokes. And Jax did not care about Kaufmo or anyone else for that matter. In fact, it's likely that Jax actually played some sort of role in tipping Kaufmo over the edge, because it's known that Jax likes to mess with other members of the circus as shown in this clip right here.
They broke my comedy mask.
So, Kane, we having a new adventure today for the newbie or what?
So Jax actually could have played a part in abstracting Kaufmo, but back to my main point, Kaufmo did not have enough support from any other members of the circus to snap out of it and get back to normal. The other characters hardly encouraged him, thinking he was crazy when he started talking about his way to escape the circus, kind of like what happened to Pomni, which only reinforced his belief that nobody needed him here. Everybody remembers what Kaufmo's room looked like, and I doubt it's always looked like this. In fact, I doubt Kaufmo drew this all in one day. This is something that would take weeks or months to draw, which proves that nobody ever visited Kaufmo's room to see how he was doing or ask if he was okay. And in Kaufmo's room, you can see a huge number of exit drawings. And there are various pictures that we don't understand yet, where Kaufmo is depicted as an evil clown, or the strangest picture where he has drawn himself, but only in a dissipated form. But the main picture in Kaufmo's room is a drawing of an evil-looking Kane where he has huge fangs like a dog or a wolf, instead of the usual teeth he has, chasing after the unfortunate clown. But this drawing will actually come in handy to figure out what really happened to Kaufmo. Now that you have all the information you could possibly need about Kaufmo, we're going to find out what actually happened to him. As you know, Kaufmo started going crazy by looking for a way out of the circus. He realized that he had to get out of here because everything he has seen so far was a lie. We all noticed the strange drawing where evil Kane is chasing Kaufmo, where it looks like he's trying to eat or destroy him. But why is that? If you think about it, Kane actually becomes very strange and evil at the mention of an exit. Because we know he's AI, it's likely that he was programmed to do this. But what does any of this have to do with what happened to Kaufmo? Well, I just found a scene that perfectly illustrates what happened to him. As we know, Pomni and Kaufmo are very similar, almost too similar. So it's almost guaranteed that Kaufmo saw the exits, the void, and the basement, where all the abstracted characters are hidden in form of monsters. But if he went insane enough to get abstracted, we can only imagine what more he has seen. But what did Kaufmo see that Pomni didn't? The computer in the desk of the office in the exit rooms. We all know that this computer plays some sort of significance in the real and digital world, as we see it in the circus at the end of the show when we zoom out of the void into the real world. So I have a crazy theory where Kaufmo discovered this computer and saw something on it that led him to ultimately get abstracted. This is supported by the drawings you see on Kaufmo's wall just before he disappears. Realizing all the horrors of further life here, Kaufmo was trying to imagine one of the exits he saw from the information on the computer. And as we know, he found himself in the same office as Pomni. But not understanding what to do next, he quietly explored and came to the last room leading to the void. Like Pomni, Kane was able to recognize this and teleported Kaufmo back to the circus. But Kaufmo, determined to leave, tried a few more times, and each time Kane managed to stop him. Perhaps after one of these attempts, the very situation that Kaufmo painted on his room actually took place. He left that as a clue to the rest of the circus on what Kane can really do. He wanted to let the members know that Kane is not to be trusted and should be feared. After many failed attempts, Kaufmo had an idea on how to outsmart Kane, and he got into the void without anyone knowing. But why the void? After Kaufmo realizes that Kane is not who he says, he assumes that the void is just a room that leads nowhere, and where the character will stay forever. Then, Kane would just most likely leave Kaufmo there to wander around for the rest of his life after so many attempts to save him. But no, he saved him every single time, which means that going through the void is somewhere the characters are not supposed to be. There would be another door leading to the basement, and Kaufmo knew that because he has gotten there himself after doing all of this. Kaufmo realized that there is a real world outside of the void by outsmarting Kane, and Kaufmo was able to get out. Once Kane realized this, there was nothing he could do. After all of his power is inside of the amazing digital circus, and the only option was to make Kaufmo look like a complete psycho that has gone too far. So far, in fact, that he became a disintegrated, abstracted monster. And Kane has clearly done this many times because there is a lot of strange monsters in the basement that look the exact same. It's as they are all pre-programmed NPCs that Kane creates in such cases. And so we can say that all the other characters who are no longer in the circus didn't dissipate at all. But on the contrary, they were able to escape despite the horror going on inside of them, and finally got out of this terrible place. But why do the monsters stay in the basement after Kane puts them there? Well, I just found the answer. See, Kane has to maintain his mechanism in the circus that when you start freaking out and seeing exits about how to get out of the circus, a character is bound to see the basement behind one of those doors. At this point, Kane will explain that all the other characters who suffer the exact same thing as Kaufmo will eventually also end up in the basement. So the characters being sent to the basement is just a way to scare the other members of the circus. But this brings us to our last point, and I finally answer the question that you guys have all been waiting for. Yes, Kaufmo is still alive. In fact, he is in a lot better of a state than anyone else who has escaped the circus. For what we know now, he is a free man in the real world, not having to endure this digital hell anymore. The most important thing in his life will be to understand the principle of how humans got there. After all, it has been long known that Kane and Bubble are artificial intelligence, and all the other characters are human. Maybe it'll take weeks, months, or even years, but given Kaufmo's tenacity and what the circus has done to him, it seems to me that Kaufmo will be able to understand the process that's going on and stop it, thus preventing even the slightest chance of new people entering the circus. We are getting a new kingdom in the amazing digital circus, and with this new kingdom comes a lot of new characters, familiar characters going on new adventures, and a new mystery that we are gonna solve at the end of this video. First, let's go over the new locations. In the trailer, Pomni Wake Up, It's Time to Go on an Adventure, we are told about the Candy Canyon Kingdom, an area that reminds me of the Candy Cart game minigame from Wreck-It Ralph. We also get to see a fast food joint called Spudsies, and some sort of haunted mansion location, and even a prototype of some sort of arena that Kane is trying to hide from us. You may be thinking, this seems like a lot of locations for just the second episode alone, but what if I told you that all of these locations are actually located in the Candy Canyon Kingdom? Let me explain. If we take the plot for the first episode into account, we can assume that the characters will split up sometime in the episode. Some will go to the main Candy Canyon area, some will go to the haunted mansion, and some will go to the fast food location Spudsies. And I don't think it would make a lot of sense if Kane split them up into completely different areas. So I think that all of these locations are located somewhere in the Candy Canyon Kingdom. But what about the secret arena Kane is hiding from us? Well, if you look at this image right here of the Candy Canyon Kingdom, the first thing you will see is some sort of castle in the background. Now, at first glance, it actually looks pretty similar to this arena, but I don't think that's the case, because if so, he would have revealed what the castle looked like, and he wouldn't have said it's unfinished, because as we can see from the outside of the picture right here, it is finished. So I think that it's something different. The second thing we see in this picture of the Candy Canyon Kingdom is a wagon with a bunch of the characters all traveling to the kingdom. I really could only make out Pomni, Jax, and Kanger in it, which begs the question, where are all of the other characters? I have a few theories about that, and the most obvious one is that the remaining characters have already made it to the Candy Canyon, or maybe they will go right after Pomni, Jax, and Kanger get there. On the other hand, there's quite a lot of room in the carriage, so if all the other characters would fit in there quite well, my other theory is that Jax, Pomni, and Kanger will be gone for most of the second episode, since Gooseworks said that each character will have their own separate episode dedicated to them. It's likely that the second episode will focus on Jax and Kanger. Pomni will be in every episode because she is the promotional face of the digital circus, and from a plot perspective, Pomni will be sent on all of the missions to give her a sense of what the digital circus is all about. I also have a theory that Pomni, Kanger, and Jax have all been sent on a special mission to the Candy Canyon, but if those characters can't do the mission by themselves, they'll have Gengal, Ragatha, and Zubul added in to help them out. Anyways, I think that all of the characters we know and love from the pilot episode will appear in episode 2, because everyone loves their own specific character, and the developers realize that too. So if you think that your favorite character won't be shown in the new episode, you're probably wrong. At first, I was really curious as to why the characters would go to the Candy Canyon instead of spending the entire second episode in the circus itself, and I think that with each new episode, the developers will show us more and more new locations, judging by the excerpts from the trailer in the first episode itself. On the other hand, it kinda makes sense though, because the series is called The Amazing Digital Circus, and not just The Amazing Digital Tent, and it was necessary to show off the show in its fullest form. The developers even presented us with the concept of this tent, and we realized that there is still a lot of things not revealed to us inside the main tent, like Ragatha's bedroom, Zubul's bedroom, Gengal's bedroom, and so much more. I wonder when we're gonna have the rest of the tent revealed to us. Now, let's talk about the next location, the Haunted Mansion, and if we look at this clip where Kanger has a shotgun, at first glance there's nothing unusual in this clip, besides Kanger having a frickin' shotgun. But if we try to zoom in and lighten the picture a bit, we can see the outline of a character sitting in the corner, and I think that it's Pomni, because we see her outline as well as her hair. But what could this mean though? Well, I mean, I don't see a reason why Kanger would want to beat up Pomni like this, so my theory is that there is ghosts in this location that can take shape of other familiar characters that we know in the circus. So I think that this is some sort of evil ghost version of Pomni that Kanger is beating up. I also think that this location might be related to these 3 new characters, because they all are in dark and creepy locations that look like a haunted mansion, and I'm assuming that it's some sort of haunted old mansion that these characters and the ghosts are in. Honestly, I can't even take a guess as to how this dark location will be in the sweet, colorful Candy Canyon Kingdom. However, what really creeps me out about this fact is that Kanger hits this evil version of Pomni, and even more so with a shotgun. It's still not clear what he is doing it for, nor how he got that shotgun in the first place. I have a feeling that Kanger does this not out of his own free will, but I think that someone forced him to be in this haunted mansion. However, there is a theory that Kanger has schizophrenia in real life, and that's why he's so restless in the digital circus. According to this scene, if he did actually beat up Pomni and it wasn't some sort of evil ghost version of her, this might have been his illness taking over and mistaking Pomni for an enemy. It's worth realizing that this location is low lit and realistically could have been anyone else. It might not have even been Pomni, but what do you think? Tell me about your opinion in the comments below. Now, let's talk about the next new location called Spudsies. There's not too much that we know about this location besides Jax being forced to work there at a minimum wage job by Kane. We know that there is also a blue hard candy guy that will play some sort of role in this new location that Jax will be in. Who knows, maybe they will team up and get in trouble together. Although I have another theory that in the second episode, these characters will be reminded of their real life jobs. And Jax will be an example of this, because I can say that Jax hates people in the Amazing Digital Circus, and having this minimum wage job might fix his character, because at this job he's gonna have to do a lot of socializing with people, and customer service is actually the worst. But how will he socialize with people if the Amazing Digital Circus doesn't have humans? Well, I think this is where the blue mannequin comes into play, because as we know, Kane puts his wooden mannequin NPCs all over the circus to interact with people, and I think that the colors of these mannequins will be color specific to the kingdom that they are in, and it happens that in the Candy Canyon Kingdom, all of the mannequins will be blue, just like how in the normal tent, they are a normal default wood color. Now, it's been confirmed that we are obviously getting a lot of new characters too, but I made a whole other video covering all of the 8 new characters we are getting, so if you want to check it out, watch this video, but obviously finish this one first. Now finally, I would like to speculate or theorize what this next episode could contain, and we are going to finally solve what this new location is that Kane is hiding from us. So here's my fan-made version of episode 2 of the Amazing Digital Circus. We start off with Pomni in her bed, and she is scared and upset about what's going on in the Amazing Digital Circus. Kane goes around telling the cast that it's time to rise and shine and get ready for a new day and a new adventure. Kane gathers the whole crew and tells them that since they all want to leave the Digital Circus so much, he will finally give them what they want. Everyone is excited and waits in anticipation, just for Kane to announce that he is going to take them somewhere else new in the Candy Canyon Kingdom. Everyone is upset but reluctantly go with Kane to this area, presumably on the wagon. He introduces them to the Candy Princess and it all seems well, but shortly after, Jax says something that makes the princess upset. Then Kane gets upset and sentences Jax to a lifetime of minimum wage labor working at Spudsies, and it's up to the rest of the cast to save him from his underpaid prison, such as the Candy Gloink Queen and an ally that has been sworn to forever go against the royal family, the Crocodile Explorer guy who helps them on their adventure to save their friend, and finally they reach the Spudsies location, but they are ambushed by the Bubble Man, who they fight off to save Jax. They leave the Candy Kingdom, but not before getting chased by the Queen's army, just narrowly escaping back to the tent of the Digital Circus. Meanwhile, Kanger, Zubul, and Gangle this entire time will be exploring a haunted mansion on some sort of side quest that they take, and somehow this is gonna lead to a brawl to the death in this new arena that Kane introduced. And I think this might be part of the reason that Kanger has a shotgun, so that's my theory for what will happen in the next episode of the Amazing Digital Circus. Let me know what you guys think of this new kingdom and how you think it'll play into the second episode in the comments below. But if you enjoyed this video, you should click on this video on screen right here. What will happen in the second episode of the Amazing Digital Circus? Well, you better buckle in, because what I just found might actually change your entire perspective of the show. And let's just say it has something to do with Jax, which we're gonna get to in this video. But before we get to that, I have to talk about Kanger. This character is one of the main inhabitants of the circus, even if it doesn't seem so. In one of my videos, I proved that out of all the current inhabitants of the circus, Kanger is the one who has been there the longest, not including Kane, of course. Even in the pilot episode, we often notice that he is already starting to go crazy, and I think that this trend will continue in the second episode. I think that the loss of a loved one in the circus gives Kanger a very deep picture about what's going on around him. In my opinion, Kanger has known for a long time that it is possible to get out of this circus. I mean, there's no way he wouldn't have noticed all the exits that have popped up throughout the entire history of the circus. On the one hand, we can assume that they will appear at the will of the administrator, because it's theorized that Pomni is an administrator along with Kane, thanks to which she can easily create exits, but she just doesn't realize it yet. Or as in any digital system, in the Amazing Digital Circus, there could be a glitch that causes characters to randomly open exits to the real world instead of the virtual one. This brings us back to Kanger. In the new episode, I think there might be such a glitch, and Kanger will be a witness of it. He will, like Pomni in the pilot episode, lose consciousness and stay in the void. But as we know, even in a blacked out state, the character who has been in the void still remains absolutely aware of everything that has happened to them in the first place. Kane will get his notification on the Wacky Watch as usual, but the whole situation will have a stronger effect on Kanger, making him even more unstable. And now even Kanger will start talking about a way out. Although we all remember how he mocked Kaufmo at first, even though he knew a way out of this damned circus. With each new scene, Kanger will become more and more vulnerable and lost, which will eventually lead into Kanger's final descent into madness. And we all know what happens happens here next. Time will come and Kinger will disappear from the rest of the circus inhabitants. Then, similar to the situation with Kaufmo, his room will be filled with a bunch of strange drawings and inscriptions. And I'm sure that one of these drawings will be a sinister image of Kane, who this time is chasing Kinger instead of Kaufmo. Kinger will turn into a monster and Kane will put him into the basement where the rest of the abstracted inhabitants of the digital circus remain. And that, unfortunately, is gonna be the end of Kinger's story in the Amazing Digital Circus. But now we have to talk about Pomni if we want to know what can happen in the second episode. And I'm more than sure that despite all the failures in the pilot episode of the Digital Circus, Pomni will not give up on her attempts of finding a way out. She will most likely act casual at first, pretending that she likes everything in here and is not thinking about escaping. However, we already remember that Pomni started to have problems in the pilot episode and her mental state was not the best. And in the second episode, we will see the struggle between calm and panic. But with time, the panic will subside and Pomni will start to remember the unusual things that happened to her. Like the hand she was able to heal herself even though Ragatha said only Kane could do that. Or the exits that nobody sees, but only she sees them all the time. After some thought, Pomni will realize that she is the administrator and she can control the circus. Then her story with Ragatha begins. As a result of this, they realize that they can create exits and possibly escape the circus. They begin to deliberately create chaos so that all the monsters created by Kane cannot cope with what is going on, and Kane himself would have to intervene. At this point, Pomni and Ragatha would be able to steal Kane's Wacky Watch, and they will get the ability to disable the Wacky Watch notifications for void intrusion, allowing them to enter the void. But at some point, Kane will realize this and start chasing them. He will be able to get to them very easily, but with Pomni, it will not be so easy. And the very last moment when Pomni sees the VR headset, it will allow her to return to the real world, and she will be met by Kane. And this is the end of the second episode of the Amazing Digital Circus. But don't click off just yet, because now we are going to talk about my theory for what is going to happen in the second episode of the Amazing Digital Circus. Every time that I've watched the pilot episode, I kept thinking that Pomni and Kaufmo were somehow connected. I realized that some of the connections lead me to believe that Pomni and Kaufmo are the same person. Let's get to the bottom of this. In the beginning, we were supposed to meet Kaufmo, but for some unknown reason, he was not in the circus. And right after that, Pomni comes in. You may think that this is obvious to everyone, but look farther. The symbol of every circus always has been a clown. Sometimes it has been a jester or a harlequin, but the idea is the same every time. Kaufmo is a clown, but Pomni is the jester. Immediately after appearing in the digital circus, Pomni begins to see strange images, including a door that is the exit from the Amazing Digital Circus. Kaufmo has also been saying all along that he sees some kind of exit and has been telling everyone else about it. But like Pomni, nobody believes him. The fact that Kane can see a way out is not surprising because he is AI and he is also the administrator of the circus, which means he is responsible for everything that happens. And since the circus is digital, no shit, Kane can create anything he wants in it, but no one else is allowed to, even though Pomni is an administrator. All of the characters in the show have never seen or heard of an exit, which means that such an ability is only available to few, and it certainly won't be 2 circus inhabitants in a row. This, among other things, confirms my theory that Pomni and Kaufmo are the same person, but it's not over yet. It was seen that the monster that Kaufmo became first attacked Ragatha, although this monster initially came close to Pomni. The monster must have realized it messed up and was actually supposed to be attacking Ragatha instead of Pomni, so it recalibrated. But apparently, when creating the monster illusion, Kane reprograms them with the memory of the previous circus inhabitant who abstracted. This gives them instructions not to attack in any way, but just to pretend. But we will talk about these abstracted monsters more another day. Now we gotta get back to what is gonna happen in episode 2. Remember that Kaufmo was talking about exits to the circus, so he probably went inside like Pomni, and that desk is actually the place where Kaufmo moved into the circus. But unfortunately, that's where Kane was able to get Kaufmo, so he couldn't escape. And it was that desk that was the only witness to Kane destroying Kaufmo, and forcing him to be reborn as Pomni. But now to answer the question that you've all been waiting for, what will happen to Jax in the second episode? As it's been previously confirmed, the second episode will be about Jax. From the pilot, we remember that Jax is a complete jerk to everyone in the circus, and in the second episode, we will still be introduced to Jax as the anti-hero who has absolutely no interest in the lives and mental states of the rest of the circus. And I think he's going to bully everybody in this episode. But at some point, he will realize that some characters should not behave that way, and he will start to correct his mistakes little by little. But it will not take long, because if you live your whole life with one way of thinking in your head, it's very hard to change to another. And it seems to me that in the next episode, Jax will be left all alone, because after his so-called jokes, hardly anyone will want to communicate with him, and Jax might close in on himself, or on the contrary, go into a new level because he is so ready to do anything to be noticed. So because of this, I think it is pretty likely that Jax actually could abstract in the next episode. But as we know, it is very possible that the creators are going to do a huge twist on how the series is going to unfold in episode 2. But it's very hard to say if the creators would want to do this, because Jax is one of the community's favorite characters, and a lot of people would probably stop watching if they removed Jax as a character. So it's unlikely that we will be seeing any serious twists in Jax's storyline. But we're gonna have to wait until we have more information if we want to know if anything will happen for sure. So those are my theories on what's going to happen in episode 2 of The Amazing Digital Circus. Click on this video right here if you want to know more. There is going to be a new character in the next episode of The Amazing Digital Circus. But what will they look like? Will they replace an existing character? Or will they appear as an additional resident of the circus? Well, don't worry, because in this video, I'm gonna answer all of those questions. And I'm not gonna be like other YouTubers here and ask for you to like and subscribe. All I want you to do is enjoy the video, because this one turned out to be really interesting. As you may have noticed, new characters in The Amazing Digital Circus appear quite unexpectedly. But I've always wondered, why is there an even number of them? Even though that detail seems unimportant, after watching this video to the end, you'll realize that the number of residents being even or odd basically determines the likelihood of a new character appearing, and I'm about to explain why. At this point, we already have Pomni, Jax, Zooble, and others. We won't consider Kane and his handheld robot Bubble because they are not residents of the circus and they are proven to be AI. At this moment, we have 6 characters, but is it possible that there will be more? Take a second to imagine if there were 10 or more characters living in the digital circus at the same time. That would be crazy, right? As we all know, since the release of the pilot episode, there has been a theory floating around the internet that there's going to be a completely new character that is going to replace the abstracted character. The writers themselves haven't officially stated this, but the situation with Pomni and Kaufmo that you just witnessed gives us confidence in this theory. As soon as Kaufmo disappeared, Pomni spawned in. Some might say that this is just a coincidence, but what if it's not? And if it is a coincidence, is it possible to say that Kane is somehow involved? Remember that when Pomni entered the digital circus, no one knew that Kaufmo abstracted. But could this mean that Kaufmo was actually still alive? And does that mean more than 6 characters can live at the same time in the circus? Well, I think we'll find the answer to that question in the new episodes. But I would like to mention the characters that once lived in the Amazing Digital Circus, but have long since been abstracted. In fact, there's also a big mystery that none of us have any idea what happened to them before the digital circus, and how they became abstracted monsters in the first place. However, there is one character in the Amazing Digital Circus who knows absolutely everything that went on in the circus before Pomni arrived, and that is Kinger. This strange and somewhat frightening chess piece has lived in the circus longer than anyone else, and it's most likely Kinger that has seen everyone's fate. As we know, there are a bunch of crossed off characters on the doors, which are most likely the abstracted characters. But it's not their fate that we're interested in, it's the number and order of which they have been abstracted. And I think in the Kinger series, we are shown this or at least told about it. In case you didn't know, in the Amazing Digital Circus, every new series is dedicated to a new character. As you and I may have noticed over the years in the Amazing Digital Circus, a huge number of characters have lived there, and it's most likely a life cycle. Let's say that a character disappeared and was replaced by a new one. Now, remember what I said about odd and even numbers for characters? To this, we must add the story of the poor clown Kaufmo, for he will be the defining and most important part of this video. Let's back up a little bit, and remember that there are now 6 characters living in the circus. That's an even number, and that's what's gonna be defining here. And if the circus must have an even number of characters, then Kaufmo is still alive. Then if Kaufmo is still alive, we will have a new character. The total number of characters will be 8, but if Kaufmo is really no longer a resident of the circus, then our chances of seeing a new character is greatly reduced, if not eliminated. It's a bit of a stretch to say that the number of characters will be even or not, but if you think about it, we were originally shown 6 characters in the intro, and if we were going to increase that number of characters, it is going to be even, because we do not know what the plot is going to be of the next episode. Maybe Kane will come up with a task where the residents events work in pairs. A very large number of people believe that Kaufmo is still alive and just hidden somewhere in the circus. And the transformation into an abstract monster is some sort of an illusion by Kane or someone higher up, which means that this new character has a great chance of appearing at the start of the next episode. Now, I hope I didn't break your brain trying to explain this crazy theory of how characters will cycle out and replace each other. But now that we covered that, we can talk about who the next character will be in the amazing digital circus. Gooseworks, who is the main author of this indie animated series, originally explained that Kaufmo was going to be in the series in his original form because we even have his full 3D model. But when writing the final version of the script, it was decided that it was necessary to get rid of Kaufmo because there were already a lot of characters. This leads us to believe that all of this is complete nonsense and there will be no new characters. That's what I first thought, at least, but if you watch the pilot episode of the Amazing Digital Circus, you will know that this episode has a huge number of clues, secret meanings, references, riddles, and everything else. This prevents Gooseworks from confusing us a bit in this time around to surprise us even more in the future. But I'll say it again, Kaufmo is the one who decides if there will be a new character or not. If Kaufmo is still alive, then yes, it is very likely that we will see another important character in this story. And if Kaufmo is no longer with us, then unfortunately the chance of getting someone else in the circus is close to zero. But this means that the new character will appear as an addition to the ones that are already living in the circus. Because if one of them finally goes crazy and gets abstracted, in that case, we will 100% see a new character. Because despite the fate of Kaufmo, the golden rule of the circus is not going anywhere. And the golden rule is, if one of the circus inhabitants are abstracted, then someone else immediately takes our place. I also think that the next episode will be dedicated to Kinger. We will be able to understand the whole mechanism of people getting stuck into the digital circus. Let's imagine a situation where we'll definitely see a new character regardless of whether Kaufmo is alive or not. And let's try to understand what might happen. Let me remind you that in the case of abstracted Kaufmo, Pomni immediately took his place. It was if it happened automatically, and because of that, no one had any time to realize that anything was wrong with Kaufmo. So now we need to find out who the new character will replace and when will it happen. I think that Gooseworks and Glitch will not hesitate with such a twist, which means that we should expect a similar situation in the next episode. It has officially been announced that the third episode will focus on Zooble, which means that we won't be able to consider her as a main candidate for someone to become an abstracted monster. You could say that Jax would be the most unexpected choice, but since he has become so popular with Digital Circus fans, his disappearance could be bad for the entire Digital Circus universe, which means that Jax won't be going anywhere anytime soon. Until the end of the first season, at least. It would be foolish to change Pomni because she is the main character, who unlike all others has a specific goal to get out of this digital hellhole. According to Gooseworks' Tumblr page, there are 8 episodes planned for season 1, the exact same number of episodes of other Glitch projects. The first episode was about Pomni, and we have 6 characters in total, so the remaining 5 episodes would tell us the fate of each of them. But there's still 2 episodes to go. The latest episode, I think, will be about how Pomni's story ends in the circus, and we will be able to see if she finally goes crazy and gets out of the circus. And I think in that case that there will be another episode where we will be told about someone else we haven't seen yet. Now let's move on. Ragatha shows no signs of going insane anytime soon, while Kinger and Gangle are very unstable, which could lead to abstraction. But unlike Gangle, who is really just sad and whiny all the time, Kinger is really on edge, and this separates him from being an abstract monster. Perhaps even the next episode might be dedicated to Kinger, and we will be shown his past and how he got to such a state. And this might even reveal all the secrets related to his wife, who we have seen as previously abstracted. And the final point of his life in the series will be his transformation into an abstract monster, which means that in the next episode, we will be able to see a new character that closely resembles Kinger, because Kaufmo and Pomni are both employees of the entertainment industry, and one of them is a clown and the other is a jester. Well, if the abstraction of characters has nothing to do with the appearance of the new ones, then I think that in each episode, we will be able to see some new characters, which unfortunately will not be the main ones, but will go in addition to the story of the main characters. In this case, none of them that we have already seen will be subjected to the terrible phenomenon that has happened to Kaufmo. But finally, I would like to say that we will definitely see someone new in the amazing digital circus. But for now, we don't know exactly under which circumstances. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below. And YouTube thinks that you will really like this video on screen, so consider checking this one out. It's actually a pretty good one. You guys don't want to miss out. This is who plays every character in the amazing digital circus. Welcome to Meet the Cast. First, I want to talk about the show's main star, Lizzie Freeman, the voice actor for the main character Pomni. Lizzie Freeman was born on November 2nd, 1992, making her 32 years old. She was born in Oklahoma City in the United States. During her middle school years, Lizzie Freeman would do various plays for her school. This is what sparked her love for voice acting. She seemingly had a lot of fun doing these plays, but later in high school, she decided that she was more interested in the field of voice acting. In her senior year of high school, she began doing voice acting for little indie projects, as well as doing voice impressions. Little did she know this would set her up for great success later in life. She would later transfer to Los Angeles, and there, she would voice act in her first major role, 2018 PC Ringmaster for the Super Nintendo Entertainment System game Secret of Mana. From there, her career would only go up, and when up it did, as some of the most popular works she voice acted in were Genshin Impact, Pokemon, Hushin Show, and Sword Art Online. Next, I would like to talk about everyone's favorite character, Jax, and their voice actor, Michael Kolvek. They do voice acting for games and animation, specifically according to their Twitter. They are known for their remarkable voice flexibility, which isn't a very big secret considering how perfectly he can make his voice fit the character Jax. Not as much is known about his upbringing as Lizzie Freeman, but according to his IMDb page, their earliest voice acting work was in the game Smite. Something interesting about Michael Kolvek is that he has asked people not to use his voice or likeness in AI memes, such as Jax singing a popular song using AI. This is because many creatives collectively fear about losing their jobs because of AI perfectly replicating their voices for free instead of them doing the work themselves. It's good that Michael Kolvek is taking a firm stance about AI art and voice replication and standing up for what he believes in. Some other popular works that Michael Kolvek voiced in are Hazman Hotel, Angel Dust, the video game World War Z as Crutter, and in Poppy Playtime as the scientist voice. He also seemingly has a past with Glitch Productions, as he has done work on Murder Drones before acting as the character Brayden. Next, we have Sean Shiplock, the voice actor for everyone's favorite crazy chess piece, Kinger. While he is known for doing English voice dubbing for Japanese games and shows, obviously his work in the amazing digital circus would be an outlier project considering that the show is produced in America and dubbed into other languages. Sean Shiplock was born in Kalamazoo, Michigan on June 21st in 1990, making him 33 years old. He went to college in Michigan known as the Western Michigan University. In the same state he was born and grew up in, he has also been doing voice acting since 2012, meaning that he began his career when he was just 21 years old. He also got married to AJ Tushman in 2017. He has done voice acting in many popular works, which is shown on his website SeanShiplock.com, though the site surprisingly hasn't been updated since 2017. There's some interesting stuff on there though, like character demos featuring voice acting he did in the year 2017 if you'd like to go check it out, though you won't find anything about the amazing digital circus on this website. Sorry. Some of the things that Sean Shiplock has voice acted in are a PA announcer in the movie Detective Pikachu. He also voice acted in The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild for the Nintendo Switch. Next up, we got the voice actor of Gangle, which is no one other than Marissa Lenti. They were born in Queens, New York on September 18th, 1992, and began their voice acting career when they were only 8 years old, and beginning on screen acting at 12, but would eventually put that to the side to become a streamstress or dressmaker, and would run a doll and sewing business for a decade before deciding to go back into voice acting. After meeting Taylor Walker, an ADR director at Funimation, she would be cast for the role of the character Lenti in the English dub of Tokyo ESP, which began her real voice acting career in 2014. They also have directed a few shows themselves, those being Keno Friends, Kashigi Shigoro, and Artie. They identify as agender and are asexual. They, just like Sean Shiplock, have a website which is more updated this time, featuring a character reel from 2023, which features various clips of their work on Gangle. Some other noticeable characters, they have Mistress Sadi and One Piece. She also did voice acting in the game Honey Pop. Don't Don't look that up. Next up, we got Zooble, and Zooble is an abstract character based off Zolo blocks. She is voice acted by Ashley Nichols and was born on March 11th of 1993 and currently lives in Seattle, Washington, the most irrelevant state on Earth. They are commonly seen doing animation and voice acting work. They even have their own mascot featuring a gray bunny and a blue hoodie. Once we go on their website, ashleynicoleart.com, we can learn a bit more about what they do. According to the site's homepage, they do 2D art cleanup, which is basically making 2D art less messy and fitting together better, sort of like mixing up a song, but for art. They also obviously do voice acting, but it seems like unlike the rest of the cast, their main forte is art rather than voice acting. On their site, you can find a reel of various images and animations they've worked on. On IMDb, they are credited as being in the animation department, an actress, writer, and director in the visual department and visual effects. Their first known work is The Dover Boys Reanimated in 2018. Some other works they've appeared in are Has-Been Hotel as the cleanup lead, and 3 episodes of Animaniacs also as a cleanup artist. Next is the doll of the group, Ragatha. She is voiced by Amanda Hufford, and I cannot find her exact birthday anywhere, but she is born in Houston, Texas, and they identify as non-binary. They do voice acting for animations, video games, and commercials according to their IMDb page. They also have done some redirecting work due to their love of bringing ideas and dreams for a project to life, which both directors and voice actors are very vital to. They have been doing voice acting work for almost 11 years now, with their very first voice acting project being for the game Warframe. IMDb credits them as being a voice actor, director, and cast director. The person who finds the cast for a show, movie, game, etc., which is why they perfectly matched the role. Amanda Hufford's noticeable voice acting works include Genshin Impact as Hyena, the video game Smite as Spectral Shifter Morgan, and the game Flapatron as Angry Cabbie, Girl Supporter, Goddess GGG, and a news reporter. Finally, we have the ringmaster of the entire circus, Kane, and Kane is voiced by Alex Rochon. He was born on July 30th of 1993 in Ontario, Canada, and he is 30 years old. Alex Rochon actually doesn't have a large history of voice acting as well as the rest of the cast. He has only been credited to a podcast, 2 short films, and editing a movie called Wild Smoke, which I really couldn't find much about besides the IMDb page, and voice acting for 2 series, one being The Amazing Digital Circus. This lines up with exactly how he was cast in The Amazing Digital Circus in the first place. He voice acted Shampton in a video on his YouTube channel, and because Gooseworks loved his performance, she hired him. And if you've played Deltarune Chapter 2 and watched The Amazing Digital Circus, you would know that Kane and Shampton are so similar to each other. It's quite comedic that this is how Alex Rochon was cast, for arguably one of the biggest characters. Some other works that Alex Rochon voiced on were Fazbear and Friends as Funtime Foxy, and calls everyone from a Glitch Productions short as his Digital Circus character Kane. There's also a little bit of an honorable mention for the character Bubble, and Bubble is played by Gooseworks herself. Just thought I'd throw that one in there, although Bubble isn't really a main character. That's all the info I found stalking these actors, but if you know anything else that I forgot, feel free to leave it down in the comments below. And if you want to watch more about the Amazing Digital Circus, I make 2 theory videos a week, so you should watch this video right here to help with the channel.
Let's get right into the show!
Bingo and Zooble and Keener too. Ragatha, Jackson, and Kaufmo will. Day after day after day after day after day we fly past the moon and the sun and we don't know why.
Gooseworks just confirmed a release date for episode 2 of The Amazing Digital Circus. They also posted a trailer confirming all of our speculations, showing 8 new characters, and so much more. We have been waiting for this trailer for months, and I can't even begin to express how excited I am to tell you guys everything that I found in this trailer. So sit back and enjoy the video. Let's start this off by telling you guys the confirmed release date I found for episode 2. On Glitch Productions community tab, they recently announced that episode 2 will be coming out quote-unquote around May, which is quite a bit longer than many of us wanted, but I'll get to that in a second. At the very end of the trailer, we can see text that says quote-unquote episodes will be released when they are ready. This infers that the creators are going to take as much time as they need to get these episodes out in as high quality as possible, which I gotta say is a smart move though, because I would much rather wait a couple of months and get to see something really good rather than getting something that's been rushed. But that's not all though, because in this trailer we got a lot of new information and Easter eggs about the show. So let's go to the beginning and cover every small little detail that you might have missed. The trailer starts with showing all of the images of Pomni's bedrooms that we got in teasers, with a slow version of the Amazing Digital Circus theme playing alongside it. That means that all of the teasers we've been getting have been leading up to this specific video. Shortly after, Kane wakes up Pomni and instantly breaks the fourth wall talking about news for the Amazing Digital Circus.
Hey, Pomni! Guess what?
No.
You're right! The pilot to the Amazing Digital Circus reached our goal of 1 view and will now be upgraded to episode 1 of the Amazing Digital Circus full series!
Is that how that normally works?
Shut up!
This means that the pilot episode is now officially canon to the show, and it will now be known as episode 1, which means that the next episode we're getting is going to be episode 2. Now, this may actually seem obvious, but this has been debated in the fandom for months now, so it's cool that we now have official confirmation about this. But let's keep looking through to see what else we got in the trailer.
I have so much to show you! Your little crying face left quite the little crying mark on the internet. Something I don't canonically have any knowledge of. Take a look.
What the f am I looking at?
The consequences of our actions. And it's only going to get worse from here.
There is so much to unpack in this clip right here. First, Kane talks about how Pomni has such a huge impact on the internet. This makes sense though, because the Amazing Digital Circus episode 1 has gone absolutely viral, having almost 300 million views at the time of recording this video. And because of this, content farm channels using the Amazing Digital Circus characters are everywhere. But this clip also shows that Kane can break the fourth wall, as he talks right to the viewers about these content farm channels. And then shortly after, he says that he canonically does not have any knowledge of this. But this actually makes sense because this is more of a news update style of video, and it's not supposed to have any actual impact on the Amazing Digital Circus lore in the slightest. But now that we got this cleared up, let's go back to the trailer.
What the f am I looking at?
The consequences of our actions. And it's only going to get worse from here.
Oh.
For those of you that don't know, Kane is referring to the hundreds of content farm channels that have popped up on YouTube since the inception of the Amazing Digital Circus. Some of these content farm channels include low-quality animation channels, channels like LinkyBox, who abuse these characters for views from a younger audience, and low-effort Amazing Digital Circus theory channels that use AI voices and clickbait fans on content that is just inherently misleading. And I promise you guys, if you want the most accurate and high-effort content about the Amazing Digital Circus, me and my friend Circus Master are here grinding for you guys every single day, so don't worry. But enough yapping, let's keep analyzing the trailer.
But that's not what I'm here to show you. I'm here to show you all the cool adventures you and your funny buddies are gonna go on. Like this cool Candy Kingdom. And Kinger with a shotgun. And let's not forget about minimum wage labor. How about some... Wait. This isn't finished yet. Don't look!
Wow, that's a lot of information to unpack. Let's start with the leak of the new... kingdom? Yes, Kane announced a new kingdom in the trailer. And from the looks of it, it's called the Candy Canyon Kingdom. And I have a theory about what this could be for. Maybe it's just me, but this kingdom looks very similar to the minigame called Gather the Gloins that Kane had characters play in the first episode. So I think that this will be another minigame that the characters have to play in the second episode of the Amazing Digital Circus. Now, let's talk about our next leak. Kinger with a shotgun? I kid you not, I looked at this for about 5 minutes and I really couldn't find anything significant. The only reasonable conclusion I came to is that maybe there will be some sort of boss Kinger has to fight in the second episode. And I mean, Kinger is crazy, but I don't exactly think that he's Florida Man crazy. The Amazing Digital Circus just keeps on giving us surprises, now doesn't it? The next leak we got from this clip is Minimum Wage Jax, and I'm not gonna lie, this one seems even more random than the one of Kinger. And you know what, I can't find the exact references because Gooseworks posts about like 89 times a day on Tumblr, but I swear, she has mentioned both Kinger with a shotgun and Jax being a minimum wage worker somewhere on her Tumblr. So please tell me down in the comments below if that's actually a thing or if I'm just actually going insane. The last leak from this clip, and in my opinion the most interesting, is this one right here.
How about some... Wait. This isn't finished yet. Don't look!
And from the looks of it, it seems to be some sort of unfinished render of a battlegrounds or a coliseum. This may be a stretch, but maybe this is why Kinger needed a shotgun. But hey, what are the chances that Glitch would give us an actual insightful leak into the second episode? Anyways, let's move on and see what else Gooseworks has hidden in this trailer.
Hi, Kane! I'm gonna kill you!
What? Why?
I read all the scripts and saw I don't get a single line of dialogue, while the moon gets two!
I mean, I guess we could give you some more lines.
Okay, never mind! I don't want to kill you anymore.
Now, this seems more like a joke rather than anything actually insightful, but this does tell us that we are most likely going to continue to see banter between Kane, the moon, and the sun, which I have absolutely no complaints about because I think it's hilarious.
Speaking of dialogue, there will be all sorts of new dialogue from many of our new colorful characters.
Whoa, that's a lot. Glitch just revealed 8 entire characters in the matter of like 2 seconds. So let's take a second to break down what we got going on here. The first character seems to be some sort of old western dinosaur in a new location called the Candy Canyon Kingdom. The second character we got looks like some sort of bubble man. He almost looks like one of those bubble toys with the big boots I had when I was a kid. He also appears to be in the same minimum wage location that Jax was in, for some reason. The third character is just a reel-to-reel. I don't know why this was shown as a character in the show, but if I know one thing from being an amazing digital circus theorist, Gooseworks loves to surprise us. Our fourth character is another character from the Candy Kingdom, and it seems to be just some sort of candy monster. The fifth character is some sort of ghost in a haunted mansion. This is interesting because we've seen no other teasers related to this. The sixth character is a candy princess, and it's kind of funny because before this, many people thought that this leak was Princess Peach. From this leaked image we got right here. The seventh character is some sort of ghost woman who looks like an explorer. Maybe she is someone who was exploring the amazing digital circus, but then got possessed and turned into a ghost. The eighth and final character is a blue screaming mannequin, and after investigating, I literally couldn't find anything about this. Seriously, the amazing digital circus is confusing sometimes. Kane also mentions after showing these characters that there is going to be a lot of shipping wars among these characters that they can't do anything about, and this has been a recurring problem in the amazing digital circus, and there is absolutely nothing that Gooseworks or the Glitch team can do about it. So it's just up to the community to stop being weird about the characters. But let's be real, that's not gonna happen. We can only hope.
With this many new characters, imagine all the violent shipping wars that we'll be completely powerless to do anything about!
Is this a cry for help?
I kid you not, when I first saw this part of the trailer, I just absolutely started bursting out laughing. I don't know why I found this so funny, but I probably replayed it like over 80 times. This is obviously an advertisement for the new Kane plushie they released, which you can't even be mad at because the way they advertise merch for this show is always super creative, and all the funds go right back into the production of the show. But after this, about the last minute of the trailer is just Kane calling out bootlegs and promoting official merch and ways to support the amazing digital circus's production. But that's all the stuff I have time to cover today. But there is so much more about this trailer we need to talk about. So I am going to be daily uploading for the next week to get you guys the most accurate news about the amazing digital circus as soon as it comes out. So make sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on any more leaks. And if you want to know more about the amazing digital circus, then you should click on this video right here. I just found some leaks from episode 2 of the amazing digital circus, and one of these leaks features a secretly released shot of Pomni's bedroom, so make sure to watch until the end because you do not want to miss any of these episode 2 leaks. Recently, over on Glitch Productions' website, The Wacky Watch, they updated their teaser video from a VHS style advertisement for the amazing digital circus to its current look, featuring Pomni laying in her bed sleeping, in what can only be theorized to be Pomni's bedroom. In the first episode of the amazing digital circus, it's revealed to Pomni by Ragatha that every circus member gets their own room.
So, this is where we all live. Or well, where we all sleep at night. Even though we don't really need to sleep, it's sometimes nice to kind of take a break from everything and have a bit of a routine, you know?
So it comes to no surprise to the audience that this is most likely Pomni's room that she is sleeping in. For some, that may be the end of the speculation, but if you look closely, there is a lot more that meets the eye. Something I noticed is that on the webpage, it appears that the video of Pomni sleeping is being watched or recorded to Kane's Wacky Watch. Well, we know that Kane's Wacky Watch has the ability to sense when a circus member enters the void. This shot of Pomni sleeping being watched through the Wacky Watch implies that Kane's Wacky Watch is either connected to the cameras throughout the circus or can see everything like an optimum eye that watches over all of the circus members, since everyone lives in a digital world in what is implied to be a video game. However, I think it is safe to say that the Wacky Watch can see anything, an ability we did not previously know it had. It's fitting, however, considering Kane himself is an AI who can teleport anywhere at his own will. It's all but confirmed that Kane is the god of the circus, part of the game that keeps everything together and going exactly as it should be, in his own way, of course.
Hello, Kane. I love you.
Let's get out of here before the moon gets frisky.
Well, thinking about this, though, I began to wonder, why does Kane want to watch Pomni anyways? Well, I think one plausible theory is that it's hinting towards the second episode. Pomni may start to cause mischief in the circus, especially during the night when all of the characters are in their rooms so she doesn't get caught trying to distract Kane. Or, worst of all, trying to leave. Kane will get fed up with this and maybe figure out her plan by himself. Or he might even find her plan through one of the other circus members. This might make Kane begin to watch her more closely, even while watching her while she is sleeping. This will force Pomni to either accept her fate in the digital circus or go to more extreme measures to escape this digital prison that she is trapped in. And while this whole thing is interesting, it really leaves me wondering, what will the other characters' rooms look like? We see Pomni's room in her color scheme and decorations that fit her design. And if we take a closer look at Kaufmo's room, it's the exact same color scheme as Kaufmo with clown portraits, which are a thing for some reason. As you can see, every character's room is somewhat custom fit to them. So I would like to take a second to theorize what the other characters' rooms will look like. Firstly, I think that Ragatha's room would be red and purple, similar to her color scheme. Next, there's Kinger, and I believe that Kinger's room is painted in a checkerboard pattern, considering he is a chess piece. He also may have chess-related decorations in his room. Zubal's room would probably be really colorful and almost like a rainbow, similar to her design in the show. Kind of like the random shapes and color patterns on her body. Jax's room would probably be purple, yellow, and red. And he would definitely have some contraband in his room, like bowling balls and other things he could destroy or ruin the days of other members of the circus with, considering he seems to have a more destructive attitude in the circus. Finally, there's Gangle, and we have actually seen a picture of their room before, which features a plethora of broken comedy masks and a monotone black and white color scheme, with a lone mirror and desk. The rest of the room is engulfed in darkness, and we can see a floor that is a checkerboard pattern. This leads me to believe that there's more to Gangle than we actually think, and maybe we will see a dark side to Gangle in a later episode. But if you guys thought that's it, you're wrong, because I found a lot more secret leaks about episode 2. There were a couple images uploaded to Glitch Productions' Twitter page, which I believe may be used in the second episode of The Amazing Digital Circus. The first image we have is a picture of Kane flexing without any lighting or texturing, which I don't think this shot will have much significance to the episode's pilot, but it does look quite comedic if you ask me. Another image uploaded on Glitch Productions' Twitter account would be this image shown here, showing Pomni sitting down and looking disappointed about something. To me, this render of Pomni is reminiscent of the final scene of The Amazing Digital Circus, where Pomni blankly stares into space, pondering her existence in this digital circus, with seemingly no way to escape. Maybe this will be used at the beginning of the second episode, showing that Pomni still isn't used to her new life in this digital circus. Or maybe something will happen to Pomni during the second episode that causes her to sit down and stare off blankly like this. Another couple of leaks from episode 2 that I have is about the plot of the episode. The creator of The Amazing Digital Circus, Gooseworks, said that each episode will focus on a different character. Throughout the entire season, that is going to be 8 episodes. And while it's unclear if the pilot counts as the show's first episode at this point, we do not know that the very next episode of The Amazing Digital Circus will be about everyone's favorite character, Jax. And I have a theory about what will happen to him. In a Q&A on Tumblr, Gooseworks was asked about what the second episode would be about, and Gooseworks simply responded with depression. While this may seem like just a joke of an answer, if we look at Jax's behavior in the pilot, we can start putting all of the pieces together. Everyone knows that Jax isn't very kind to the other members of the circus, and generally has a don't care attitude, which sometimes is a sign or symptom of depression. And while trapped in this digital circus, it's no surprise that the inhabitants will get homesick and begin to lose their minds slowly, starting with being depressed. And I think this adds more coal to the fire of Jax abstracting in the second episode. As we already discussed in earlier videos that you should check out after this one, Jax will most likely be the next to abstract, and it's most likely the only thing stopping this is the fans' love for the character. There's also evidence supporting the idea that Jax won't abstract in the second episode. In the same Q&A, Gooseworks was asked about a hint for the second episode, and her response was that no one was coming close to guessing what it's about. This is exciting for the the Jax fans out there, because everyone has been theorizing that Jax will become abstracted in the second episode. And even though the wording of this reply is very vague, it doesn't quite rule out the possibility of Jax abstracting, but it could definitely be a clue that it won't happen. Another episode 2 leak that I found is a potential release date. Using many clues like social media post, production time for the first episode, and other hints released by the show creator Gooseworks, I think that we can pinpoint a general release date for the second episode. The first piece of information about the second episode's release date actually comes from the release date of another one of Glitch's other shows, Murder Drones, and the next episode of this show has a release date set in spring of this year, which means that episode 2 of The Amazing Digital Circus could come out after that, or hopefully before it. Something interesting to note is that Glitch Productions finished other episodes of the Murder Drones incredibly quickly, releasing a new episode every 1 to 2 months before its newest episode, episode 6, which released 4 months ago, with The Amazing Digital Circus dropping 2 months after that. So if we are to believe that Glitch Productions is going to follow this release pattern, I think it's safe to say that we could see a new episode of The Amazing Digital Circus within a month or two. This is also supported by the fact that the show is showing insane popularity, and waiting for the new episode to drop might cause it to lose friction and popularity in the community, which the creator most likely will not want to do. But it's also entirely possible that we could be seeing the episode after Murder Drones episode 7, because of the hype surrounding the show, making the producers want to make it as fast as possible. Although they're still gonna obviously want to make it really good. If I were to make a guess, I would say it's most likely coming in January or February. But of course I can't say for sure, but the only thing I can say for sure is we know it's coming very soon. But if you guys want to check out more videos about The Amazing Digital Circus in the meantime, you should consider watching this video on screen right here. Kane is the hero of the Amazing Digital Circus, and he is actually trying to help the human residents of this digital world. Now, this may sound crazy, but let me explain. As you all know, this show is about 6 humans who got trapped in a virtual reality world, where their lives are controlled by the AI Rigmaster running the show known as Kane. In the early teasers of the show, Kane seemed to be the ultimate villain of the series, trapping humans in this world and mindlessly torturing them with his games. A good example of this is when he was throwing knives at the main character of the show, Pomni.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, Pomni here is gonna perform something you've never seen before! Don't worry, my dear! You won't even die horribly!
However, the pilot episode paints a very different picture. One where Kane is the hero of the story and is actually trying to help the humans. Well, let's break down why this is. The Amazing Digital Circus opened with an old school kind of computer game graphic style before transitioning into this beautiful 3D world. The use of these old school graphics was something hinted at in a lot of the promotional material, which is similar to a lot of video game art styles from back in the day like Kid Pick. In this opening bit, all of the characters are introduced as regulars at the circus before Pomni suddenly manifests right in the middle of everything, ruining the act. Here, we get quickly introduced to the characters again, and this time their more cynical real personalities show, as Pomni explains that she suddenly appeared here after putting on a VR headset. And this VR headset is so intense that it can even simulate feelings of eating, as we later learn.
So what? I can still be hungry.
Well, not really, because we don't need to eat, drink, or sleep in this digital world. So the digital food here only gives off the virtual sensation of eating, without any of the nutritional benefits.
After getting Pomni and the audience up to speed on what's going on, Kane sets up a sort of game-style mission for them to spend their day, which involves a little thing called gloinks, and they actually steal Zooble. Kane goes off on his own to relax with another AI, his assistant called Bubble, but Pomni doesn't want to play with the gloinks. She believes that she's seen an exit door, and thinks it may lead to a way out of the circus. But the other circus members call her crazy for this, and relate her behavior to the previously abstracted character Kaufmo. But this all ties into how Kane is trying to save the humans later. For now, let's get back on topic. At the beginning of the episode, Kane showed Pomni everything that Kane had managed to create, from the interior of the circus to the outside grounds governed by the moon and sun, and the blank void that exists just beyond it, which just seems to me like more programmable space. Pomni is uncertain where this exit may go, but she seems determined to find find a way out, as apparently most of the newcomers do when they first arrive. When showing Pomni around to their rooms, they stop to check on Kaufmo, a clown who never showed up for their morning intro like they always do.
Let's get right into the show!
Bingo and Super and King too. Raga the Jackson Kaufmo.
When the door to his room opens, we see the walls covered in insane style writings about trying to find an exit. But instead of a clown, we see a horrible glitching monster in his place. This is Kaufmo, but he has been abstracted. According to the others, the characters are human trapped in digital bodies governed by artificial intelligence. But time over time, we seem to see these humans lose their sense of self and become digitally abstract. In the circus, the characters actually never have to sleep. So it would seem that they are plugged into the game by more than just a simple virtual reality headset. Because of this, time is endless and there is never a need for true rest in the digital circus, which is great when you are temporarily plugged in to play a game, but not something that the human mind was ever meant to experience on an ongoing basis. Cain thus seems to know that humans are not supposed to be trapped here for that long, but he appears to have no way of actually helping them to get out. Before the 6 humans started manifesting, there may have been people that used to come into play for short bursts, leaving at their own free will. But at some point, something seemed to change, and Cain realized that he had a long-term duty to somehow try and help the humans who got sucked into the game. To do this, Cain focuses on simulating human life while maintaining the circus theme in his video game mechanics. The characters say they don't need sleep, but that it's nice to have free time to essentially pretend to sleep and be away from everyone else in the circus. This is essentially when they can have their own thoughts and process what happened to them that day, and enter a state of as little thinking as possible until the next day begins.
So, this is where we all live. Or well, where we all sleep at night. Even though we don't really need to sleep, it's sometimes nice to kind of take a break from everything and have a bit of a routine, you know?
This gives them a sense of human normality, and probably helps them to maintain their form without abstracting much longer than the early humans might have inside of the circus. Kaufmo's room was covered in writings about trying to find an exit, and it seems that he did not use his free time to rest at all, and rather fixated further on his issues of being trapped here, because he had seemingly no need to rest. He thought he could just focus on his mission indefinitely, but instead of his body giving out, his mind shattered and he became an abstracted monster. Cain does not take advantage of the toys the way he seems to in the teasers, and instead, the missions he sends them on are probably what passes for real games that his program was meant to do. I'm sure time over time, things will get crazier and crazier with his behavior, as he always hints at being able to go unhinged. But for now, he seems like he's genuinely trying to do his best to help these humans have the happiest experience they can in the forms of them being trapped. The bigger question to all of this is, how exactly did these 6 humans get trapped here? As we discussed already, the characters' minds seem to be trapped in the game. One possibility is that they don't need sleep because their physical bodies would always be in a state of rest in whatever machinery they're hooked up to. But another possibility is that the headset Pomni remembers putting on was scanning her brain to insert her into a digital game, and her consciousness was transferred into the circus out of her body, which could be another reason that Pomni got so scared when she saw the VR headset at the end of the hallway of the backrooms. But how is Cain trying to help the humans? If he wanted to help the humans, wouldn't he just show them some sort of escape to this digital world? Well, keep watching because I need to explain one more concept that will tie this entire theory together. I believe that the reason Pomni and the others scanned themselves into this digital world was to try to escape their own dying physical world and try to have a new life in this happy, blissful video game. But here's why. After promising Ragatha that she wouldn't abandon her, Pomni finds an exit door and decides to take it. She gets lost in a maze of office buildings from the 80s that look like the backrooms that all connect to one another. However, something about this particular office terrifies Pomni, and it's more than just the VR headset on the desk. In the last moments of the story, Pomni sits at the table with the others and stares off into the horror of what her new reality is. After the fear that she experienced in the strange office buildings, she managed to find an exit door, and beyond this exit door was the void. And when she looked out into the void, something else horrified her. At the end of the episode, the camera pans out past the void and reveals the same office that Pomni found herself in. That office was familiar to her because it was modeled after the actual office where the amazing digital circus game seems to be running. The office has a strange computer that looks like it would run low-end video games, which is what was shown at the very beginning of the digital circus. And it's weird because when you think of VR headsets, you think of the modern VR headset. You don't think of people from the 80s that could get locked in this low-end virtual game. The rundown look of the office makes me think that the entire world is dying or dead, with virtually no humans or resources left. I think that Pomni, among others, choose to have their consciousness injected into the existing virtual world instead of living in the real world that is just sad and depressing. By wiping their memories, Pomni and the others probably hoped that they would forget the horrors of their destroyed planet that they were living on before, and they thought that they would have a lot better of a time living in this fantasy video game world. However, this causes most of them to fixate and be unable to enjoy the simple existence there, and this could eventually lead to abstraction of any of the characters. Pomni seems to be the latest of not just 6 or 7 people, but many people before, based on where Kane throws the abstracted remains of Kaufmo near the end of the episode. And here we can see lots of strange, horrific monsters indicating that quite a few people have abstracted before Kaufmo. There is more evidence of other people abstracting if you look closely at the doors when Pomni, Jax, and Ragatha are walking through the rooms. Here you can see a bunch of people who I assume are abstracted. And this sets the stage for an interesting series where Kane is not the villain, but he is the biggest obstacle stopping the characters from finding out the truth, because he is programmed to prevent them from figuring it out. Kane is just trying to simply make the circus members' lives as nice as possible, even if he doesn't quite understand how humans work. But if you want to know more about how the amazing digital circus works, then you should click on this video right here. These are 7 things I found in the episode 2 trailer that will blow your mind. My first theory is that Kinger isn't actually crazy. If we look at the scene where Kinger has a shotgun, there is something I noticed at first. See, if Kinger was crazy, he would be going wild and shooting the shotgun at anything that blinks. But if you look closely, you can actually see that he's using the weapon in quite a masterful and strategical way by smashing the person in front of him with it, rather than just blasting him into oblivion. There is more to this theory too. Maybe Kinger is erratic because of the loss of Queenie, rather than being about to abstract. There is so much more to Kinger that meets the eye, and I can't wait to find out his true story in the next episodes that come out. My next theory is that this trailer isn't just teasing 1 episode, or even 2. This teaser is showing context for 3 different episodes. Let me explain why. One of the first things shown in the trailer is the Candy Canyon Kingdom. Everyone assumes that this whole episode will take place in the Candy Canyon Kingdom, which I believe is true. But something else that people believe is that all the content from the trailers from the Candy Canyon Kingdom in episode 2. But after doing some research, I actually don't think this is the case. If you look closely, we are shown 3 different types of areas that I think will be divided into 3 episodes. First is the Candy Canyon Kingdom. We see everything from here like the new characters. I think that the Spudseas location will also be in the Candy Canyon. The Bubble Man, the Fudge Monster, and the Crocodile Man of course will be there, as well as the Candy Queen. But I think that it'll be for episode 2. I think episode 3 will take place in a haunted mansion. As you probably know, we are shown many ghost characters, as well as many darker, dimly lit areas that would fit perfectly into a haunted mansion. I think it's also safe to say that Kinger with a shotgun could appear in this episode as well. Finally, I think episode 4 of this show will show this unrendered Coliseum that Kane shows us for a brief moment. I think this works both setting-wise and production-wise, because of course they wouldn't be working much on episode 4 just yet, because that episode will probably drop later this year or maybe even next year. But also, I don't think the Candy Canyon Kingdom or the Haunted Mansion I theorized about will have any room for a Coliseum in them, but maybe I'm wrong. For my next theory, I would like to talk about what I think will happen in episode 3, specifically in the Haunted Mansion. Out of the 8 characters we got revealed, 2 of them appear to be ghosts, and a few more seem to fit in with that crowd, specifically the Reel-to-Reel and Kinger with a shotgun. We knew before the trailer dropped that we would see Kinger with a shotgun in one context or another, either. But I can't deny that the Haunted Mansion was quite low on my list, so let's get into this. I think what will happen is that Kane will announce some kind of a trip to a haunted mansion. Either that will be the digital circus itself getting haunted, and everyone is afraid. Their task is explained by a reel-to-reel, which plays an old-timey video showing them what they have to do. But after the video, they realize that Kinger is somehow missing, so their new task is to find Kinger. But while they anxiously look for Kinger, he is doing just fine on the other side with his shotgun. The circus members continue to find victims of Kinger's thrashing. The characters think they have just found a ghost, when in reality, it's really just Kinger who jump scares them in a comedic scene. Then, they will all finally finish their tasks together before finally escaping this haunted mansion they are all trapped in. It's also been confirmed by Gooseworks that every character will have their own episode centered around them, and we know that episode 1 was centered around Pomni. If episode 2 is going to be in the Candy Canyon, then I think episode 2 will be centered around Jax. Episode 3 would obviously be centered around Kinger, and then it's kind of unclear who episode 4 would be centered around. My next theory is when the rest of the episodes will actually come out. We already know that the second episode of The Amazing Digital Circus will come out in May, so when will the next ones come out? Well, I believe that this trailer features multiple different episodes, as I've already stated earlier in the video, so it's safe to assume that they're working on multiple at a time. I think that this means when episode 2 comes out, it'll open the floodgates for the rest of the episodes to drop too. In the release date announcement, Glitch said that they will be dropping episodes this year and next year, so 2024 to 2025. So I think that episode 3 will drop sometime shortly after the summer, and episode 4 will drop in the winter. The rest of the episodes coming out throughout 2025, which seems like a while, but once it's over, it'll be worth the wait. The fifth thing I wanted to talk about was Pomni's room, and why we keep seeing it so much. If you haven't noticed, Pomni's room has been a focus of the teaser and promotional content for a while now. But why? Well, I think that this very room is a big part in the next episode. Well, it's easy to just brush it off as promotional material to hype fans up. I think that Pomni's room will somehow play a very important role in the events of episode 2 of this series. If you look at the Wacky Watch website and now this, it's quite easy to realize that there are a few references to Pomni's room just for it to be some sort of coincidence. The writers of the show are most likely showing us this context now to prepare us for what the next episode will entail, and I have a theory about what exactly this room means and what will happen later inside of it. I think that Pomni's room will have some sort of hideout for Pomni and maybe more of the circus members to hang out in and plan how they can escape. This makes perfect sense to me, because if you take a look at the Wacky Watch website, we see the infamous video of Pomni sleeping. But what does this mean? The characters in the Amazing Digital Circus don't actually need sleep. So why is Pomni sleeping? I think that she is faking it. As you may know, Kane has all-seeing eyes all throughout the circus. So I think that maybe one of these eyes was paying Pomni a quick visit, and she quickly pretended to be asleep so that she wasn't caught trying to scheme a way to escape out of the circus. For my next theory, I want to talk about what I think is going to happen in the second episode. As we all know, this will probably take place inside of the Candy Canyon Kingdom. Everyone is made of candy, but it'll probably be very muggy weather there for them because it looks like a desert. But obviously, it can't be so hot to where the candy melts. Anyways, I think that everyone will complain and be miserable throughout it, with Jax complaining the most, and I think that Kane will take the circus members on some sort of field trip through the Candy Canyon Kingdom to meet the Candy Princess, who bears a striking resemblance to Princess Peach, perhaps to complete a task for her just for the funnies. But I think that it is most likely going to be the Queen to ask them to complete some task though, because that seems to be what goes on around the Amazing Digital Circus. Somehow though, I think that Jax will say something that offends her, and of course he's gonna be sentenced to slaving away at minimum wage labor for years in the Spudsy's restaurant, so the cast will have to find a way to free Jax from his minimum wage job. Along the way, they meet many foes, such as a fudge monster and an ally who has been sworn to forever go against the royal family, a crocodile explorer guy who helps them on their adventure to save their friend, and finally they reach Spudsy's, but are ambushed by the Orbs Man, who they fight off and save Jax. They leave the Candy Canyon Kingdom, but not before being chased by the Queen's army, just narrowly escaping to get their lives back in the digital circus. After that, Kane will give everyone a lecture on being respectful, but Jax ignores it, and then the episode is going to end. The final thing I want to talk about in this video is very interesting. As you may know, the blue mannequin was revealed in the trailer Pomni Wake Up, It's Time to Go on an Adventure, during the quickly changing sequence with all of the new characters. The final character shown is a screaming blue wooden mannequin in the Candy Canyon Kingdom. Now, if you've watched a few Amazing Digital Circus theories, you would know that it is is widely speculated that these wooden mannequins are placeholders for the future circus members who find their way into the circus later on. We see proof of this when Pomni and Ragatha walk through the hallway to meet Kaufmo before finding him abstracted. If you look closely at the doors as they pass by, you would see many characters that have never been seen before with red X's over their portrait, as well as a portrait of a normal wooden mannequin. And while at first people may think that the mannequin is a part of the cast at one point, if you look at the scene with Bubble and Kane eating at the restaurant, the rest of the patrons at the establishment are the same wooden mannequins we see. Well, we know about those wooden mannequins. There is not really much known significance to these blue ones. My theory is that they are a part of the Queen's army. If you remember the first episode, it seems like Kane has quite a few of them. So I think that the Queen will most likely have their own variety of these mannequins. But instead of being Kane's, which are placeholders for whichever new circus member appears in the circus, I think that they will be used in the army for the Queen. But let me know what you guys thought of this theory in the comments below. And if you want to watch more of my digital circus theories, you should click on this video right here. These are all of the leaks I could find about episode 2 of the Amazing Digital Circus, starting with the Candy Canyon Kingdom, an area that reminds me of the Candy Cart game from Wreck-It Ralph. We also get to see a fast food location called Spudsy's, and some sort of haunted mansion, and a prototype of some sort of arena that Kane is trying to hide from us. Now, you may be thinking, this seems like a lot of locations for just the second episode, but what if I told you that all of these locations are actually located in the Candy Canyon Kingdom? Let me explain. If we take the plot of the first episode into account, we can assume that the characters of the cast will split up in this episode. Some of them will go to the main Candy Canyon area, some of them will go to the haunted mansion, and some of them will go to the fast food location called Spudsy's. But I don't think this would make a lot of sense if Kane split them up into completely different areas. So that's why I think that all of these areas are actually located in the Candy Canyon Kingdom. But let me know in the comments down below if you guys agree. It also seems like all the inhabitants are just made out of candy, like this candy monster who at first I thought was a form of the Gloink Queen, but from a community post from Glitch Productions, it makes me think otherwise. They said, quote unquote, this is the fudge monster and he is made out of fudge. But from the looks of it now, it actually seems like he's a nice dude. We also see the Candy Princess who bears a striking resemblance to Princess Peach. And we also got 8 more characters, which I will touch on later in this video. So as I said, I think that all of these locations are located in the Candy Canyon Kingdom. But what about the secret arena that Kane is hiding from us? This leads us into the next leak we are shown, which is an unrendered scene from the trailer that looks like some sort of stadium or coliseum. Of course, we only get to see it for a couple seconds before Kane gets subconscious about his unfinished work and covers it up. I personally think that this could be used in a scene where the characters somehow fight one another for a minigame that Kane makes. But here's my theory. If you look at this image right here of the Candy Canyon Kingdom, the first thing you might notice is some sort of castle in the background. Now, at first glance, this actually looks pretty similar to the arena, but I don't think that's the case, because if that was so, it would have been revealed what the castle looked like, and he wouldn't have said it was unfinished. Because as we can see from the outside of this picture right here, it most definitely is finished. So I think this is something completely different. The next leak, and probably the most well-known leak so far, is the inside of Pomni's bedroom. Pomni's room has been a topic of discussion in the Amazing Digital Circus fandom for quite a while now, due to it being teased multiple times over a span of months. You may remember that the Wacky Watch on Glitch Productions website shows Pomni sleeping in her bed, and since that has been shown, many people, including myself, theorize about what the inside of Pomni's room could look like, besides the small fraction of what was shown to us. Well, recently, over on Glitch Productions YouTube channel, they put up a community tab post with a picture of Pomni's door and a challenge saying get this post to 100,000 likes and they will show what's inside the door. And of course, it goes without saying that everyone absolutely obliterated this goal incredibly quickly. It got the likes in less than 6 hours. Anyways, Glitch Productions kept their promise to the community and showed this picture of her room. And as suspected, it looked very good, painted in her color scheme and furnished generally looking quite cozy. It's interesting that Glitch showed us this though, especially this early since the episode is set to release in a few months. More on that later. And usually things are shown this far before release are more important details to keep the fans waiting and excited. So it's safe to say that Pomni's room could have quite a big role in the next few episodes, but we will just have to wait and see. But now for what most of you guys have probably been waiting for, we are going to talk about the 8 new characters that we are getting. The first first character we see is an old Western style crocodile or alligator, or maybe it's a dinosaur or a lizard? I'm not really sure. Anyways, he appears to be wearing a hat reminiscent of that worn by Indiana Jones. I don't get much of a shoot 'em up type vibe from him like, say, a cowboy. Obviously, this character's from the Candy Canyon Kingdom. I mean, look around, of course it's a desert type area. Anyways, it's all but confirmed that Kane is gonna take them on a new minigame outside of the circus. But from what I can tell you, it's not actually inside the circus. So I'm not quite sure how that works in the setting of the show. But perhaps I'll make a theory about that another time. Anyways, my personal theory is that this dinosaur crocodile thing will be some sort of tour guide or ally of some sort to help the cast. Gooseworks also seems to really like this character, because shortly after the Wake Up Pomni It's Time to Go on an Adventure video dropped, she posted a picture of this character on her Twitter saying quote unquote my boy, which shows that Gooseworks maybe has some sort of attachment to this character. The second character shown is some sort of purple or blue bubble man inside of the same fast food location that we see Jackson, which is called Spudsies. Unlike our crocodile friend, he seems to be completely unfitting for his location. Maybe Spudsies is located in the Candy Canyon, as well as this bubble man is perhaps made out of some sort of hard candy or lollipops or something. What they are doing in the fast food chain and why Jax is working there is currently up for debate. But I'm getting a troublemaker vibe from this character, so maybe Kane sends all of the troublemakers to work in this minimum wage job as a punishment, which actually would make a lot of sense, and Kane is actually pretty smart for doing this. The third quote-unquote character shown to us is a reel-to-reel with seemingly no face. If you didn't know, a reel-to-reel is basically an old way of playing videos or movies before digital format files were created, and things like cassettes and vinyls, a more physical way of storing music, were relevant. If you know what a vinyl is, a reel-to-reel is sort of the same but with pictures and video. Anyways, I'm not even entirely sure how this is considered a character, but maybe the two circles are the eyes and the big notch thing is its mouth. This seems to be in a darker light room, maybe the same room where Kinger's attacking something with the butt end of a shotgun. But due to the simple design of the character, I like to think they're in some sort of haunted mansion or something, and maybe the old reel-to-reel will give them an overview of everything they will have to do. And when I think about it, Kinger would bring a shotgun to a haunted mansion, so that's the theory I'm gonna go with here. The fourth character we get to see appears to be one from the Candy Canyon Kingdom, and something about their design seems very familiar to me. The sharp teeth and eyes remind me quite a bit of the Gloink Queen, and I think this character will show up as a gag with the Gloinks again, but this time with a candy spin on it. And this plays into the previous theory I have where the Candy Canyon Kingdom is another one of Kane's minigames, where he's gonna make the characters of the Amazing Digital Circus do another task to keep them busy. And obviously, if this is some sort of Gloink Queen, they will be evil, but I personally think it'll just be something maybe as a recurring bit in the episode. But you can never be so sure because the Amazing Digital Circus is full of surprises. The fifth character we've seen is a very cute looking ghost. And if you remember the theory about the haunted mansion from earlier in the video, I think that this ghost character will tie into that. I believe that the cast will be exploring through a haunted mansion and be looking for something or someone. Maybe since we see Kinger alone with his shotgun, Kinger will somehow get separated from the group, prompting everyone to go search for him. But Kinger is doing absolutely just fine with his trusty shotgun, kicking ass and taking names, which I personally am all here for. But a quick point I wanted to make is that at first, maybe I thought that this haunted mansion would be something brand new. The cutesy design given to this ghost rather than a more menacing one makes me think that maybe this will take place in the Candy Kingdom. But I also have trouble figuring out how a haunted mansion, a brand new area, and more will fit in less than half an hour. But of course, I'm always ready to be pleasantly surprised. The sixth character we get shown is a candy princess, which I would guess is the ruler of this Candy Kingdom. Something important to note is that they are literally Princess Peach. And I mean, their hair is seemingly made out of those disgusting peach candy slices, and their outfit looks incredibly similar to Princess Peach from Mario. If anything, I think at least one joke will be made about this. I can guarantee it. This is also even more likely because the creators of Glitch Productions also run a channel called SMG4, which makes a whole bunch of funny videos using the IP of Mario characters in their own to make funny situations. Anyways, I can guarantee that this queen will welcome the cast with kindness. Of course though, it's the Amazing Digital Circus, and I think somehow the gang will find a way to be on the queen's bad side. Hell, she might even send an army of Candyman after them, but that's just some small speculation though. The seventh character we are shown is some sort of light blue ghost in front of a brown curtain. They appear to be wearing clothes from the early 1900s, and appear, obviously, to be a ghost, which if you have been paying any attention, this seems to be a recurring theme among these characters. I also noticed that this character seems to have a lot of human attributes to her. My theory is that she was an explorer in this haunted mansion location, and then she got possessed and turned into a ghost. The further in that I go, the more I just start start to think that all of these characters aren't from the same episode, just because of purely how many are being shown, and I think this is a crazy amount of locations to have in episode 2. So what I think is that there will be one episode about the Candy Canyon Kingdom, and then another about this haunted mansion or whatever it is. Or they're gonna do something like episode 1, where the cast is gonna split up, half is gonna go to the Candy Canyon Kingdom, and the other half is going to go to this haunted mansion. And obviously we already know Kinger is gonna go there because he has a shotgun, and I think that Jax will go to the Candy Canyon Kingdom because he seems to be in some sort of like minimum wage job location, and I just have a feeling that would be there. Or maybe it won't and I'm completely wrong. Who even knows at this point? The 8th and final character shown is a blue screaming wooden mannequin, and this character is in the Candy Canyon Kingdom. Now, if you've watched a few of my amazing digital circus theories, you would know that it is widely speculated that these wooden mannequin puppets are placeholders for future circus members who find their way into the circus later on. We see proof of this when Pomni and Ragatha walk through the hallway to meet Kaufmo after he's been abstracted. If you look closely at the doors when we pass by, you will see many X's over the characters who have been abstracted, as well as the portrait of a wooden mannequin. And while at first people may think that the mannequin is part of the cast, if you look at the scene with Bubble and Kane eating at the restaurant, the rest of the Patreons at the establishment are the same wooden mannequins that we see. Well, we know about those wooden mannequins. There's really not much that we know about the blue ones. There's a chance that potentially this blue mannequin is a haunted ghost. This would make sense with the other couple of ghost characters that we've seen. But why would he be in the Candy Canyon Kingdom instead of the haunted mansion? There's just so much we're left in the dark about here. The final leak I wanted to touch on is when episode 2 of the Amazing Digital Circus will finally come out. Fans have been speculating for months when it would drop, and most of us were really far off. My original theory is that it would either come out late February or March of this year, but I was dead wrong. If you look at the community post that Glitch made very shortly after the trailer, you will see that they have already given us the release date. For now, we are looking at episode 2 around May, and this may be disappointing for some, but for me, a rushed product is far worse than one that takes time, but ends up being way better in the long run. Because at the end of the day, at least if the episode is good, our time would have been well spent waiting. But a lot of people are complaining about the release date being too far away, which is the worst part. But I think for the most part, people are excited about having episode 2 have time to fully cook and be ready with no major issues. But Glitch has also completely called out Rule 34 and content farm channels. But if you want to see how, watch this video right here. Zooble is getting a complete redesign in episode 2 of the Amazing Digital Circus, and Jax is getting a glow up. As you guys may or may not know, Gooseworks has been yapping quite a bit about the next episode of the Amazing Digital Circus over on her Twitter and Tumblr page. So in this video, we are going to be talking about all of these new leaks we've been getting over the past couple of days, starting with the most important leak we've got, and the only new leak that Gooseworks has posted on her Twitter since the last video. But trust me, this one is big. She posted an image of Zooble and Jax with the caption, quote-unquote, Jax has a much more youthful glow after he started eating daily gallons of pure retinol regenerating cream. Firstly, can we talk about how weird this caption is? I assume that this is Gooseworks' way of trying to communicate with us that Jax is getting a glow up in the next episode. But honestly, I'm gonna need someone to translate this for me because I'm pretty sure this isn't English. But anyways, I like to overanalyze the digital circus, so here's a few things that I noticed from the image. Firstly, this is the first brand new teaser image we've been shown that has the Amazing Digital Circus in the background. Every other teaser we have been shown as some sort of castle walls or the new Candy Canyon Kingdom, but never the digital circus. While this might have been obvious, this at least confirms to us that some of the new episode's length will be inside of the actual digital circus. Secondly, look at this image again. If you couldn't tell, everything is a lot higher quality. The lighting, the shading, the models, everything looks amazing. In my opinion, it looks leagues better than the original episode. And of course, that makes sense. A pilot is meant to be what a demo is for a game, to see if it'll work without putting too much time or effort into it. It only makes sense that once they realized the potential and attention the Amazing Digital Circus was getting, they would step up their game to deliver the best final product possible, and this makes me very hyped for the next episode. The next thing I want to point out is Zooble's outfit, or whatever this is. If you look closely, something is much different about her. If we take a look at her outfit from episode 1, which is known as the pilot episode, we see that it's in a different form from what it used to look like, and I have two two theories about this. The first theory I have is the possibility that Zubal's outfit is randomly generated on an episode-to-episode basis. This solution is definitely a strong contender when you think about it. Everyone knows that the inside of the Amazing Digital Circus is inside of a video game, which also happens to be run by the AI ringmaster Kane, so it's not too unlikely that Zubal's body could change at any moment. If you look at Zubal's design, it's pretty clear that this is something that could happen because of her abstract and zany design. What may just make this theory true though is what Zubal is actually based off of: Zolo blocks. Zolo blocks were old toys that had weird patterns and shapes that you could put together similarly like Legos, but not as blocky and formulaic. If Zubal changing outfits were a normally occurring thing, this would make perfect sense because she is literally based off of the abstract building blocks. My second theory, and the one I think is even more likely than the previous one, is relating to this Tumblr post right here. When Gooseworks was asked by someone on their Tumblr Q&A about how many different outfits were planned for each member of the Amazing Digital Circus cast, Gooseworks told them that most of the outfit changes appear in one episode. This answer from Gooseworks both reveals a bit about Zubal and Jax, because Zubal is actually the second character we will see with a new fit. Looking back in the trailer, they give Jax a minimum wage job in a fast food establishment known as Spudsies, and it can be assumed that Zubal could also likely get this makeover in the same episode as Jax. And since those two are the only ones shown with new outfits, maybe we will see some cool redesigns of the rest of the cast. But this post here asking which of Zubal's designs are their favorite, Gooseworks says episode 4's design, which could possibly prove both theories I have about this. One more thing I wanted to talk about in this image is the fact that Zubal and Jax aren't in the Candy Canyon Kingdom. We already know from the previous leaks that Jax, Ragatha, and Kinger are confirmed to go to the Candy Canyon Kingdom on an adventure together, but it's not confirmed yet whether Zubal will go. It would be interesting to see more content about Zubal, although Gooseworks did say that episode 3 would be focused around Zubal, so I guess we'll just have to wait and see what happens with that. Next, we're gonna move on to some of the many Tumblr leaks related to the Zubal redesign, and see how they could possibly tie into the lore. And guys, it took forever to dig through this because Gooseworks posts like 80 times a day on Tumblr, and it's very hard to find useful information when she posts stuff like this. Anyways, firstly, we got this question asking if Gummy Goo, the name of the gummy crocodile thing, will be riding a horse like a normal cowboy, prompting a response from Gooseworks saying that Gumagoo is in fact not a cowboy, which I actually theorized about before in a video, saying that he was not a cowboy but an explorer, almost like Indiana Jones. But even that theory is not confirmed, so we will just have to wait and see, I guess. Next, we got a fan asking who gave Kinger a shotgun, and Gooseworks pulled out their signature line, saying that we will simply have to wait and see. This reply in question is honestly quite funny to me though, because I never thought of anyone actually giving Kinger a shotgun. To me, it just seems more likely that Kinger would either have to find it or just have one lying somewhere around. But maybe this response just means that there is more to this scene than we originally thought. But I don't think that Kane would give him a shotgun, nor anyone else, besides Jax. Yeah, Jax would definitely do it. I mean, he always just has random stuff lying around. Like, he possesses a bowling ball, for goodness sake. Why does he have a bowling ball? There isn't any bowling lanes in the Digital Circus as far as I know, so why wouldn't Jax just hand Kinger a shotgun to see if funny things happen to other people? The next post is this one, where a fan asks Gooseworks how often Kane pops in and checks on the circus members, and Gooseworks says that it's enough for it to be a looming threat to their privacy. And honestly, yeah, I've theorized for a while that at some point, something secret will be going on in Pomni's room, and Kane will pop in and find it. Kane is known to pretty much be an Optimum Eye in the circus, but he doesn't and can't know everything that's going on, as shown by him not knowing about Kaufmo's abstraction, and the danger that was caused to the Amazing Digital Circus cast. So for him to know what's going on, he either has to be really in tune with his Wacky Watch and his all-seeing eyes, or pop in himself and see what's actually going on, which actually could be used to Pomni and the gang's advantage, possibly. In this post, Gooseworks tells us that the ghost lady we see in the new trailer's name is Martha Mildenhall. Good to have a name for this face. This post is easily one of the most interesting ones. It confirms that all of the new characters that we were shown in fact are not all circus members, or quote-unquote new suckers as Jax calls them, but NPCs. Now, we don't see much of the NPCs in the pilot episodes besides the Gloinks and their queen, but there is some theories made about this. Likely, they won't have a big impact on the actual main story of getting out of the amazing digital circus, and most likely they will just be a hindrance, like the Gloinks and the Gloink Queen. When asked why Kinger was given a regular shotgun and not a sawed-off shotgun, Gooseworks replied by saying that wouldn't make sense in the episode's actual context. Now, I have no idea what this means, but maybe this could lean towards a theory that Kane creates Kinger a brand new shotgun. According to this post, Jax is actually afraid of corn, which Gooseworks has actually talked about a couple times before this, and we may or may not eventually find out why. It would be funny to actually see Jax afraid of corn in an actual episode. A fan noticed that Ragatha and Jax had a resemblance to Raggedy Ann and Andy, and asked Gooseworks if the Easter egg meant anything about the dynamic between Ragatha and Jax, but Gooseworks said it has nothing to do with that, and it's just a fun little secret for fans to notice. A fan asked Gooseworks how Kane makes things happen in the digital circus, and Gooseworks told them that Kane did it similarly in the way that his mind is constantly brimming with bad ideas.
No, God, I don't want an in-house adventure.
Don't worry, Zooble. I'll make it something unobtrusive that you can still choose to not get involved with. Today's adventure is... Gather the Gloinks!
But hey, that's just a theory. Just click the video on, just click the video on screen, I just found some early development footage, unused animations, and even an alternate and unused version of the intro of the Amazing Digital Circus. So get ready, because these Amazing Digital Circus deleted scenes might blow your mind. As many of you probably don't know, the Amazing Digital Circus has been in the works for a very long time, with pre-production starting in the middle of 2022, almost a year and a half before it finally released near the end of 2023. So it stands that there is a reason that many of these clips and animations didn't make the final cut. The first few clips I found for you guys is some scenes from the first episode of the Amazing Digital Circus, and there are some pretty interesting things I noticed from these early versions of the scenes. You will notice that the lighting has not been added to the scene, and some characters look a bit more primitive compared to their final versions, such as Ragatha's dress having a completely different color pattern, or Zooble not yet having the prints on her torso like the final. One of the other early development scenes that caught my eye was the scene where Ragatha and Pomni first encounter Kaufmo after he's been turned into an abstract monster. If you look at the earlier and unfinished version, you will notice that Kaufmo looks a lot less menacing before the glitchy texture and blinking eyes were added to him. Another thing I found was the walking animations for many of the characters that never got used, or were used but never shown in the final render of the episode. Watching these makes you wonder what else these animations could have been used for. Like, what will Pomni be running from? We also get to see the entire circus crew walking together, which makes me wonder if we will ever see these characters team up to stop Kane to try and leave this digital circus instead of the chaos in episode 1. This part shows the running animations of an abstracted character, but something to note here is that the text below it reads abstracted Kaufmo run cycles. And well, in the first episode, when abstracted Kaufmo is cast into the cellar, we catch a vague glimpse of many characters who used to be a part of the circus, which suggests that all the circus members who have been abstracted will most likely look the same. But since this text singles out Kaufmo being the one who has been abstracted, instead of just being an abstracted circus member, I am led to believe that if another circus member is going to be abstracted, they will look different than Kaufmo's abstracted form, even only if it's a slight amount. Well, these are not necessarily unused animations from the episode. We do have a various amount of facial renders and animations from each of the Amazing Digital Circus's iconic cast members, such as this animation of Pomni holding in vomit, or looking very bothered by something, similar to how we saw her at the dinner scene of the very first episode. Another early scene I found was a demo version of the scene where Ragatha and Pomni first meet Kaufmo after he's abstracted. An interesting thing to note is the use of a more cartoony animation style in the demo, with Ragatha's movements being far more fluid, like that of a cartoon character. Well, in the final release of the episode, her movements are a lot more toned down. According to the lead animator, this was to make the scene more serious in tone since the scene depicts Pomni and Ragatha in danger, and Ragatha's goofy, more cartoony movements could disrupt that tone. Here, we are shown what is described as the cursed development photos, and I don't think I could agree more. Many of these characters are shown to be distorted or modeled in a very strange way, where their elements of their design clip through their body. Like here, where Jax's eyes and teeth are being fused together. But something I did want to theorize about for a moment is this screenshot showing Jax looking very creepy and demented in a way he's never shown in the pilot episode. As you may know, it's widely theorized that Jax will be one of the first characters after Kaufmo to become abstracted, with people speculating it to happen as early as the very next episode. Considering that episode 2 of The Amazing Digital Circus has been confirmed by the show's creator Gooseworks to be having Jax as the main focus. This makes me wonder what the process of abstracting will look like. I don't think they will just immediately transform from a normal circus performer to a giant beast, like what Kaufmo looked like in the pilot. And this image makes me think that perhaps abstraction is a slower process, and this could be a part of the process, showing Jax at the beginning of his abstraction. Let's just hope that isn't the case though, because if Jax were to abstract, the fandom would probably go insane. Another scene that I have here shows Pomni on her way to help Ragatha after Kaufmo's attack. But Pomni doesn't walk as much as she just floats? Here's the thing I was very excited to show you guys. As you can see, I found an alternate version of the show's original intro theme.
Let's get right into the show!
And Skangle and Zubul and King and Two, Ragatha and Jax, and then there's Kaufmo. Many wonders can be found, send you spinning round and round until you fly to the moon and then the sun, and we don't know why. You won't believe your eyes. Prepare for a surprise. Don't touch that door, there's so much more. You don't know what's in store. Watch out for the...
This theme I found also has alternate lyrics. For instance, instead of the original version glitching out and saying
Day after day after day after day after.
we hear different lyrics singing
Many wonders can be found. Send you spinning round and round.
Not only is there that though, but the intro has more lyrics that are not present in the final episode.
To the moon and then the sun, and we don't know why. You won't believe your eyes. Prepare for a surprise. Don't touch that door, there's so much more. You don't know what's in store. Watch out for the...
This is very interesting because one of the most iconic and fan favorite things about this show is the incredibly catchy intro theme, and hearing the extended version of the intro song is actually pretty cool. It also is interesting to hear what's supposed to be Kane singing and telling Pomni not to touch the door before it has even been explained why she is there. As you may know, Kane has been hiding the fake exit door for a while because it's the entrance to the void, which he is self-conscious about and doesn't want the cast to see his unfinished and incomplete work. The final thing I wanted to show you guys were the character animations uploaded to Glitch Productions YouTube channel a couple of months before the show even premiered. There's some demo versions we can look at, and it's been revealed for the first time that these characters have been animated. So it's intriguing to think about how the animators figured out how to make the characters behave on screen to fit their personalities. We are also shown the very first piece of animation ever for The Amazing Digital Circus.
Welcome to the Amazing Digital Circus! Are you ready to see something incredible? Well, too bad. You're gonna see it anyway. In today's show, we've got quite the performance. Whoops, wrong thingamagigama. Now, ladies and gentlemen, Pomni here is gonna perform something you've never seen before. Don't worry, my dear. You won't even die horribly. Well, I think we both had something to learn from that experience.
It shows Kane, the circus's ringmaster, showing the viewers everything that there is to know about the digital circus before revealing the show's star, Pomni, and some antics between Pomni and Kane where Kane is throwing knives at Pomni, who is tied to a spinning target, which I do admit is quite comedic and a great way to reveal the show. But let me know if I missed any more deleted scenes in the show. And if you guys want to see more videos about the Amazing Digital Circus, click on this video right here. These are 500 facts you didn't know about the Amazing Digital Circus. So sit down and grab some popcorn because this is gonna be a long video. The creator of the Amazing Digital Circus is Gooseworks. Gooseworks is a 29-year-old girl, and her real name is Cooper Smith Goodwin. Gooseworks writes all of the videos herself, and she also voices Bubble in the show. It turns out that the Amazing Digital Circus was not going to be renewed for season 2, and they were thinking about keeping it at just one season. But after looking at the views after just releasing the pilot episode, they decided to greenlight season 2. The Amazing Digital Circus is dubbed into 14 different languages, already making it a globally watched show. Speaking of being globally watched, the Amazing Digital Circus community is super strong, with people coming from all over the world to show their love for the show. Gooseworks says that on average, an episode will last between 20 and 25 minutes. Most likely, the frequency and release of episodes will be very low due to production difficulties. Gooseworks has confirmed that we are going to get a full season of the Amazing Digital Circus, and there is going to be 8 episodes in every season. Because of the infrequency we have seen with other series like Murder Drones, it's likely that we aren't going to see season 2 for a very long time. But what little hope we do have for these new episodes of the show is the fact that Gooseworks confirmed that the entire first season is already written out. But I don't think that matters too much because the biggest bottleneck in production is the animation process, because this high quality animation takes a very long time. The creator of the Amazing Digital Circus is against Rule 34, although she understands it's everywhere. Initially, Gooseworks said that we will never know how old the characters are, with Jax and Zooble being 22, Pomni being 25, Gangle being 26, Ragatha is 30, and Kinger is 48. The series itself is not for children, but rather teenagers and older, although it is made in a way to be watched by kids. When Gooseworks was asked for an exact age demographic, she said that the show is intended for weird people in their 20s. But the show is going to stay safe for kids to watch, and also Glitch is trying to appeal to the biggest audience possible to try to get their money back for the huge costs of the show. Zooble is one of Gooseworks' favorite characters. Her design is inspired off the Zolo toy, which is a popular toy in the 2000s. Zooble also looks a lot like Gooseworks' avatar on YouTube. This goes to show even more why Gooseworks likes Zooble so much. The Amazing Digital Circus' pilot was released on October 13th of 2023. The first ever teasers of the show were posted to Gooseworks' YouTube channel on January 27th of 2023, almost a year before the actual show came out. The Amazing Digital Circus is posted to Glitch's YouTube channel, and Glitch is in charge of all of the animation, Gooseworks being in charge of writing and voice actors. There are many fan channels for the Amazing Digital Circus, most of which being content farm channels that make low quality animations with characters to clickbait fans into watching their videos. Speaking of content farm channels, Gooseworks has said that she does not watch any fan content, mostly because all of it is trash. She's also specified that she does not watch theory videos. Even though she said that, she commented on my friend's Circus Masters video, so clearly this is not true. This makes me believe that Gooseworks does not stay true to her word, and all of the information she gave us could be false, and she could just be trolling the fan base. The Amazing Digital Circus won the 2023 Annie Awards, which is basically an award for having the best animation, and in my opinion, this is well deserved. Glitch Productions has posted a lot of teasers of the Amazing Digital Circus on Twitter, and Gooseworks has also posted a ton of facts about the show on Tumblr. And when I say a lot, I mean a lot, because she posts like 50 times a day. Seriously, it's hard to keep up with all of it. Gooseworks has said that there is a whole nother side to Pomni that we just haven't seen yet, which makes me wonder what Pomni is hiding from us. Gooseworks also said that the Gloink Queen will not be in future episodes of the show. This makes sense because it seems like she was just an NPC character in the game. The Amazing Digital Circus is already the biggest indie animated show on YouTube, even with it only being a couple months old. There are 8 characters so far in the Amazing Digital Circus. We have Pomni, Jax, Kane, Bubble, Gangle, Ragatha, Kinger, and even Zooble. And every single one of these characters has a different voice actor. Lizzie Freeman is the voice of Pomni, Michael Kovac voices Jax, Alex Rachan voices Kane, Cooper Smith voices Bubble, Amanda Hufford voices Ragatha, Sean Shiplock voices Kinger, Marissa Lenti voices Gangle, and Ashley Nichols voices Zooble. Apparently, Jax can take his mask off, which reveals a yellow sort of creepy endoskeleton under it. It also turns out that Jax is Gooseworks' favorite character to draw. When someone asked if you could describe the Amazing Digital Circus as food, what would it be? And Gooseworks replied with a microwaved Pete. Gooseworks said that Pomni's teeth in this cursed image will return in episode 2 and 3. It turns out that Kaufmo's door is the only room that has a bell on it. I wonder why this could be, and if this potentially has anything to do with his abstraction. This may seem like a really random fact, but Jax hates corn. Sorry, I just had to throw this one in here. When Gooseworks was asked what is one random line Jax will say in the next episode, Gooseworks replied with, "Aw, no more ramming?" I wonder what this could mean. Gooseworks described all of the future episodes episodes in the season with these words. Episode 2 is boy, episode 3 is damn, episode 4 is haha, episode 5 is guns, episode 6 is huh, episode 7 is oh, and episode 8 is what? That infers that episode 8 is going to be left on a huge cliffhanger and potentially will upset the fans. When Gooseworks was asked, quote, if you were transported to the Amazing Digital Circus, what would your initial reaction be? And Gooseworks replied with become Jax. At one point in development, the creator thought that the show might be good in 2D, but this decision was quickly discarded because 3D just fits the show a lot better. If Kaufmo was still alive, Gooseworks said that Pomni and Kaufmo would have gotten along great, and this makes sense because they are both clown archetypes that wanted to escape the circus. When Gooseworks was asked what she is most excited about working on in the Amazing Digital Circus, she said making people sad, so it makes you wonder what the rest of these episodes will be about. Apparently Pomni is really good at accounting, and no, I didn't just make that up, although I wonder why Gooseworks would say this. It just seems really random. Gooseworks confirmed that we will eventually see the inside of every character's room, which will be very interesting to see. We already know what the inside of Pomni, Kaufmo, Jax, and Gengel's rooms look like, just leaving Kinger, Zubul, and potentially Kane if he has one. Gooseworks said that she likes to lie for fun sometimes, so that means that all of our theories could be wrong if she is actually lying about everything, but for some reason, I doubt she's doing that. For everything, at least, I would hope. When asked what episode of the Amazing Digital Circus she is most excited for, she said episode 3. I wonder what will happen in this episode. Gooseworks confirmed that Kinger and Queenie aren't siblings, which leads me to believe that they are a couple, but we will have to wait and see if this is true. Apparently, Zubul was a tattoo artist at one point. Interesting. Out of all the characters, Jax and Zubul are the most likely to have had an emo phase. Kinger knows how to play chess. This one is pretty obvious though. I mean, he is a chess piece. Although we all know he isn't the smartest.
My impenetrable fortress!
Gooseworks has said that her least favorite character to draw is Ragatha, and I can kinda see why this is because she's one of the most detailed characters. Gooseworks got the inspiration for Pomni from a jester, but this makes a lot of sense because she literally is a jester. The Amazing Digital Circus is an isekai, which is a subgenre of anime that involves a character getting transported into an imaginary world. Gooseworks had the most fun designing Zubul's character. Gooseworks has said that Zubul would give the worst hug, and I can 100% see why this is true. When asked how Kinger eats, Gooseworks replied with this. Apparently Pomni's first name, Extetica, is an inside joke, and there is no deeper meaning to it. The animation software Maya and Unreal were used to animate the Amazing Digital Circus. The thumbnail for the pilot episode matches this frame of Kane taking Pomni for a tour around the circus. Jax was supposed to be a girl, and Pomni was supposed to be a guy, and in this image right here, it shows Jax being mad that there's more girls than guys in the Amazing Digital Circus. According to Gooseworks, Gingle is 26 years old, loves to draw, and has a bunch of masks. Kane is AI, therefore he has no age because he has existed as long as the circus itself. Bubble is an artificial intelligence created by Kane to help him do tasks and keep himself sane in the circus. Bubble's favorite food is vomit, as shown in this clip right here.
Whoa! Clean up on aisle U!
I'm on it, boss!
Why are you like this?
Jax and Kane are two characters that like to break the fourth wall, but all the other characters stay on script. Kane has hundreds of all-seeing eyes, which doesn't have much significance in the pilot, but I wonder if it'll play a part later in the show. Kane and Bubble are a reference to the biblical brothers Cain and Abel. There is also another reference to that when Pomni is running through the hallways and the camera pans up to a sign that says CNA. Gooseworks herself voiced a character in the pilot episode. She voiced Bubble, but it's her voice with a filter that makes it higher pitch. And it's kind of funny to think that Bubble is a boy, even though Gooseworks, who plays him, is a girl. And apparently, according to Gooseworks, Bubble is her least favorite character. Many think that the tallest member of the circus is Jax, but if you don't count his ears, Kinger is actually the tallest. Ragatha's design is based off the Raggedy Ann doll. Kinger constantly talks about an insect collection, which honestly doesn't surprise me at all coming from Kinger. We never meet Kaufmo in his normal form, which makes me wonder what Kaufmo would have acted like. I wonder if we will ever get to meet him one day. If you look closely at the doors in the hall, you can see a black chess piece that is crossed off. This character is theorized to be Kinger's wife. Members of the Amazing Digital Circus don't need to eat or sleep in order to survive, but most of them choose to anyways just to pass the time and have a slightly normal routine. There have been many other characters who have abstracted in the Amazing Digital Circus, because we see a lot of other eyes in the basement when Kane sends Kaufmo down. Gooseworks confirmed that the maze sequence we see with Pomni running through the offices is inspired inspired by the Stanley Parable. Speaking of the maze sequence, it has been speculated that the VR headset we see on the desk with the computer is the VR headset that Pomni used to get into this world. Glitch posted this picture of Gengal's room, showing that she has a lot of different masks for her different emotions. One of these masks being the emotion dorsalessness, and this emotion is from the video made by Gooseworks called Blue Channel Taliesin. It is a creepypasta type video that shows many different human emotions. If you look closely on the doors, you can see that over 10 people have been abstracted. They are already selling merch of some characters in the show. The characters that they are selling are Jax, Kane, and Pomni. I wonder if they will ever sell the other ones in the future. Lizzie Freeman and Elsie Lovelock have both voiced the character Meggie, making Pomni the second character that they've shared. This is quite the coincidence, but also an interesting story. Pomni's current name is currently unknown, but I have a feeling we are going to find out what it is very soon. Kinger's eye color is teal blue, which in real life is a really rare eye color with only 8 to 10% of people having blue eyes. Kinger has a very short attention span. After Zooble is spat out by the Gloink Queen, Kinger asked if she experienced a game show ending. This is a reference to Gastrel Giveaway in segments of Little Runmo and Elaine the Bounty Hunter, some of Gooseworks' previous projects. Kinger also has a very slow reaction time, and often doesn't notice someone until a few seconds after they approach him. Something weird about Jax is when he speaks, he often doesn't open his mouth all the way, just moving his lips. But however, during the pilot episode, we get to see Zooble strangle Jax with her arm, and this confirms that his mouth can open. Jax can be considered an antagonist because of all the mischief he gets up to, and Jax acts similar to a 14-year-old boy. So if he's currently 22, that means he has been trapped in the circus for a whole 8 years. But hey, look at that, you made it to the end of the video. So if you liked this video, then you should click on this one on screen right here. These are 50 facts you didn't know about Jax from the Amazing Digital Circus. The creator admitted that Jax is her favorite character out of the main cast. While she was creating Jax, she took some inspiration from herself, which is the main reason for him being sarcastic and unempathetic. Jax is another human trapped in the virtual world like everyone else, and it's unknown how he got here. The fandom has already created shippings between characters, and Jax is the most common character of all of them, which is kinda sus. There is a crazy theory that Jax could have been a hacker in real life, and that's why he's always so relaxed in the circus. Jax is 22 years old, the same age as Zooble, though Zooble is 6 months older, which makes Jax the youngest member of the Amazing Digital Circus. In the pilot episode, it makes it clear that cuss words are not allowed in the circus, censoring every attempt of people trying to use them. But in the comics, Jax has no filter. Pomni's bedroom is right in front of Jax's bedroom, and it could be placed there for a reason we'll see later in the show. During the introduction video, we see somebody throw a cleaver at Ragatha's face and she takes it off like nothing happened. The creator said it's possible that Jax threw it, although we've only seen Kane do that. But we know that Jax would do anything just to have some fun. Because Jax is a tall and skinny rabbit, the creator said that animating Jax was a bit of a struggle, especially the team in charge of creating the body structure to display a fluid animation because of how tall the model is. We know that Jax is the youngest member of the circus, but that could be why he can't control his destructive impulses. However, we might learn more about that some point later in the show. Maybe Jax has ADHD. Something weird about Jax is when he speaks, he doesn't open his mouth fully, only moving his lips. However, during the pilot episode, when Zooble strangles Jax with her arm that Jax was scratching his back with, only then we can see Jax fully open his mouth when he screams.
What exit? If there was a way to leave, I'm pretty sure we'd have all left by now.
Yeah, what are you talking about?
So Jax can apparently open his mouth. The members of the circus don't need to sleep, but they still have bedrooms. This allows them to have some privacy. However, Jax has a master key to every single door. This might prove that he's actually a hacker. Jax knows how to save himself when he sees abstracted Kaufmo, but this definitely means he's dealt with something like this before and knows how to get away. There is a chance that Jax has a dark past. The creators said that he deserves to be trapped in the digital circus more than any other character. I wonder what he did that was so bad to deserve being trapped in this virtual world. Jax had a few glitches and cursed models during the animation process, and we got these disturbing images as a result. Jax is the creator's favorite character, which is probably why there's so much weird fan art about Jax. Jax can either run super fast or teleport, because this is shown by how fast he picks up the bowling ball.
Oh, he's doing great. In fact, I don't think I've ever seen him this happy before.
Well, it's good to know he hasn't completely lost his mind.
He actually asked me to give you this.
On a poll, Jax is 35% of the fandom's favorite character. Many people believe that Jax could have character development that leads to him having a friend. However, the creator stated that nobody in the circus likes him, and later on we're gonna see him do some awful things not even the viewers can expect. With that being said, it's very likely that Jax can be an antagonist in the next episode. During the pilot episode, Jax says a phrase that describes his entire personality with this quote: "I'm fine with doing whatever as long as I get to see funny things happen to other people." And this quote describes Jax perfectly. I looked into the color of Jax's teeth and I found that they are piss yellow. When Jax finds abstracted Kaufmo, he sticks a bowling ball in front of him and runs away, leaving a trail of dust where he was standing and an obvious reference to the cartoon animations with the same visual gag whenever a character runs or escapes. There are way more girls than boys in the Amazing Digital Circus, and I don't think Jax is too happy about that. If Pomni got abstracted, there is a high chance that Jax would become the main character of the Amazing Digital Circus. Because the Amazing Digital Circus is like a video game, characters might have inventories, which could explain how Jax pulled the keys out for Kaufmo's room. To create Jax's voice, the creator told Michael Kolbeck to do his best Raggedy Ann impression, and that fit Jax really well with his sarcastic, arrogant attitude. We know that Jax doesn't open his mouth, but did you know that he keeps his mouth closed even when he eats? When somebody questioned the creator about this, she sent this picture. The creator said Jax doesn't do anything too awful in the pilot episode, but she said that there will be later moments that the fans are not gonna like. So that'll be interesting to see. Jax without his mask is horrifying. A fan asked the creator how many crimes Jax has committed, and the creator did not respond with anything helpful, leaving this very ambiguous. Jax was actually going to be a girl, until the last second when the creator decided to make him a guy to balance things out. A lot of Murder Drones animations have been recycled to speed up the production for the Amazing Digital Circus, which I don't mind. Jax acts way too similar to a 14-year-old boy, so that means if he's actually 22, he would have been trapped here for 8 years. Jax is the hero of the circus because he keeps the two idiots, Kinger and Gangle, from doing stupid stuff. The creator said that the outfits are a part of the character's body and we will not see them changing clothes. So take that, Tumblr. Jax might be trapped in this world, but with his hacking skills, I don't think he minds because he can make objects appear out of nowhere, and he doesn't mind watching other people suffer. Despite being a rabbit, Jax does not have a tail. I guess the creator forgot to draw it on him. There is a lot of fan art about Jax, so much so that the creator asked them to take it down because it was distracting her. And I don't blame her. Jax is super tall because of his ears, but he's not the tallest character in the circus. If we compare the character models, we can notice that Kanger and Zooble are a little bit taller if we don't count his ears. Jax was inspired off an old Japanese TV show, Puppy the Performer. According to the creator, she wanted a bunny-eared psycho to be part of the circus. Jax can be considered an antagonist because of all the mischief he gets up to with the other characters.
Jax! We found the Zooble hole.
Cool.
How is Kaufmo doing? I hope he's not still mad at me for not laughing at his jokes.
Oh, he's doing great. In fact, I don't think I've ever seen him this happy before.
Well, it's good to know he hasn't completely lost his mind.
He actually asked me to give you this.
The fact that he appears many times throughout the show, even when he's not necessary, proves that the creator loves putting him in to steal the spotlight every time he appears. Ever since the introduction video, we knew that Jax would be a mean, selfish character. The creator said that she enjoys drawing Jax because of his cartoon art style that allows her to do a lot of creative concept art. This could explain why there's so much fan art about him. Many of us think that Jax is a purple rabbit, but I wanted to know the precise color used for this character, and I found that the color is Fairywinkle, a bluish color that's in the middle point between light blue and lavender. It's been proven that Jax is actually afraid of corn. Jax has an antisocial personality disorder because of his manipulative and unempathetic personality with no remorse. This could be because of his troublesome past. Jax's voice actor is Michael Kolbeck. He has also played many other characters in internet series such as Murder Drones and Has Been Hotel. And finally, this is the last fact, Jax's teeth are dirty as hell. Someone should get him a toothbrush. These are 50 facts you didn't know about Kane from the Amazing Digital Circus. Kane is not a real human. He is AI that is built into the digital circus. Kane has an AI assistant called Bubble that helps him with tasks around the circus. Kane is voiced by Alex Rachon. The thumbnail of the pilot episode matches this frame of Kane taking Pomni on a tour around the circus. Kane is AI, therefore he has no age, and he has existed as long as the circus itself. Jax and Kane are two characters that like to break the fourth wall, but all the other characters stay on script. Kane and Bubble are a reference to the biblical brothers Cain and Abel. Kane has hundreds of all-seeing eyes, which doesn't have much significance in the pilot, but I wonder if it'll play a part later in the show. There have been many other Amazing Digital Circus characters that have abstracted. We see a lot of other eyes in the basement when Kane sends Kaufmo down. This makes me wonder what else Kane is hiding from us. Kane has a watch called the Wacky Watch that alerts Kane whenever any of the circus members try to escape. Kane is obviously an AI that exists for the circus, but it seems to me like Kane could be an AI of someone else's consciousness that got trapped into the circus. This would be similar to many other modern AI programs like Replica. Kane is the ringmaster of the circus, and he keeps all of the other circus members in check so they don't try to escape or abstract. One of the ways he does this is by giving them games to play, like he did in the pilot episode with his game called Gather the Gloings. And at the beginning, Jax said,
So, Kane, we having a new adventure today for the newbie or what?
which infers that this is a common thing that Kane does. There is an old version of the intro of the Amazing Digital Circus, and in this version, Kane did all of the singing.
Let's get right into the show!
As Gangle and Zubul and King and Two, Ragatha and Jax and endless Kaufmo. Many wonders can be found. Send you spinning round and round until you fly to the moon and then the sun, and we don't know why. You won't believe your eyes. Prepare for a surprise. Don't touch that door. There's so much more. You don't know what's in store. Watch out for the
As we can see, Kane has heterochromia. One eye is blue and one eye is green. Kane does not understand human emotions or desires at all, but still tries to give people what they want. Kane was inspired by a supercomputer, and also a lot of his inspiration is from the book I Have No Mouth and I Must Scream. Gooseworks said that Kane does not fall into the category of villain, and is definitely an antagonist. His motivation is not evil, but his actions still do hurt the rest of the circus. Kane is the shortest member in the circus, if you don't count Bubble. Kane is even a little bit shorter than Pomni. Gooseworks once was asked what would Kane look like if he were human, and she replied that he would look like Gary Buzzy. Kane does not need to brush his teeth. They themselves remain clean by default. This means that no one in the circus takes showers. Ew. If you want to make fun of Kane verbally, it is most likely that he will take it literally, because he does not understand jokes and sarcasm. Kane doesn't worry about what happens at the circus, and lets whatever he thinks is funny happen, which tells us why Kane acted the way he did in the pilot. Kane cannot feel most of the range of emotions available to humans. This makes it difficult for him to process and understand other people's jokes. Kane is able to repair damaged characters. We see this when he fixes Ragatha from the glitch, but he cannot return those who have been abstracted. This means that they have lost everything human about them and no longer can know who they are. The Amazing Digital Circus has another ringmaster, and Kane is not the only one, because they asked Gooseworks if Kane was the only ringmaster, and she answered that we need to wait and see. This most likely means that there is someone else, and we just need to wait for him to appear in the show. Kane is the only character who can teleport, at least officially. We saw Jax teleport away from Kaufmo's room, so perhaps Jax can also teleport, but there is no other time when he does this, so we really can't say for sure. In the introduction video, Kane looks evil when he's throwing knives at Pomni, but this is very different from how he acts in the pilot episode, because in the pilot, he is very nice and tries to help the members of the circus. In the introduction video, Bubble runs away from Kane, and he pulls Bubble back, but if you look closely, you can see that this syncs up perfectly with Kinger's introduction.
Yeah!
Bubble is Kane's only friend. This is shown when Kane is having dinner with the mannequins and Bubble at the table, right before his wacky watch goes off. Kane very easily loses his temper and gets irritated if something doesn't go according to plan. Kane and Bubble have a very complicated relationship, because on the one hand, they seem like best friends, but on the other hand, Kane calls him a parasite when he loses his temper. Kane doesn't see anything wrong with Jax's jokes, and thinks that they are funny. Kane is clearly hiding something, and often acts secretive or suspicious. He often has moments where he doesn't want to say information or simply simply doesn't know what to answer. Kane is very naive and falls for almost any prank that you can think of. Gooseworks portrays Kane as a selfish leader who's always too playful and cheerful. Kane has a huge ego because he is literally the god of this world and can do anything he puts his mind to. Kane himself doesn't know what's in the void, and he tells everyone not to go there because they can get spoiled or even become abstracted. Kane really likes the moon, but he avoids her at all costs because she's too persistent, and Gooseworks herself doesn't like romantic relationships in the show. Kane puts his best effort to understand people, but that doesn't make it any less difficult because at the end of the day, he isn't human. Kane is the only character in the circus who can change his clothes and do something with his appearance, unlike the other characters who their appearance is literally their body. Kane is the only person who picks names for new circus members. Kane is the most mysterious character in the circus, since we have the least information about his personality. The Wacky Watch website is ran by Kane. As you can see, he is a person in this VHS advertisement. It is likely that Kane or someone related to him created the digital circus, because at the end of the episode, we can see it zoom out of a computer into the real world. Kane and Bubble are both boys. This actually surprised me because I thought Bubble was a girl. There are many other things Kane has created in the circus that we have not seen yet. Kane has a name wheel that he uses to pick names of new characters, but this doesn't make sense because some characters have more or less than 5 characters in their name. Kane's assistant Bubble is just Gooseworks' voice pitched up a couple of notches. We got this cursed image of Kane flexing from Gooseworks on Tumblr. And finally, for the last fact, Kane gives the digital circus members food and bedrooms, even though they don't need sleep. This is probably so they can have some resemblance of a normal routine. These are 50 facts you didn't know about Kinger from the Amazing Digital Circus. Kinger's design was based off an Elderwood chess piece of the White King variety. Because Kinger is the king chess piece, he wears royal clothing, such as a royal cloak seen on his body throughout the pilot. According to the lead animator, Kevin Temmer, Kinger was difficult to animate because of his limited facial features, with the character only having 2 eyes. According to Jax in the pilot episode, Kinger was the first character to be trapped in the Amazing Digital Circus. It's theorized that Kinger did not come to the circus alone, but instead came with a character named Queenie, which is most likely his wife. During the scene where Pomni and Ragatha are walking through the hall to go meet Kaufmo, we see many doors with faces that are crossed off, one of which being a black chess piece, which has a strong resemblance with Kinger, and this is theorized to be his wife or a very close friend. Kinger is an unstable and erratic character. This is due to the fact that he has been trapped in the Amazing Digital Circus for a very long time. Kinger has a very slow reaction time, and often doesn't notice someone until a few seconds after they approach him, which usually startles him. It's theorized that Kinger is already so crazy that he is literally unable to abstract, but we will have to wait for future episodes to see if this is true. Kinger likes to stay in a pillow fortress that he has dubbed the Impenetrable Fortress, which plays into his royal attributes. Kinger either has a bug collection or is very obsessed with them, as when he leaves his fort in the pilot, he asks the crew if anyone has said anything about a bug collection, and said bug collection is referred to once or twice in the episode. Kinger is the first one to notice that Kaufmo might have gone insane. Kinger's hands can detach from his body, as shown in the pilot when his hands are taken away and attached to Zubal's head. Kinger is the oldest character in the Amazing Digital Circus. After being asked several times about the characters' ages, the show creator, Gooseworks, told the fandom all the ages of the main characters, revealing that Kinger is 48 years old. Kinger and Zubal are the only characters that don't have a mouth. If the two are played side by side, the Meet Bubble and Meet Kinger reveal trailers actually play one video that is connected.
Yeah.
In this scene where Ragatha and Pomni are walking through the hall to go to Kaufmo's room, we can see a black chess piece that has an X crossed off over them. And if we are to believe that this character is closely related to Kinger, and they have abstracted, then that could possibly be the cause of Kinger's instability and general chaotic nature. After Zubal is spat out by the Gloink Queen, Kinger asks her if she has experienced a game show ending. This is a reference to the Gastral giveaway segments in Little Runmo and Elaine the Bounty Hunter, some of Gooseworks' previous projects. Unsurprisingly, Kinger knows how to play chess, a fact confirmed by Gooseworks, the creator of the Amazing Digital Circus, in a Q&A on their Tumblr. Kinger has hyper-realistic eyes and no mouth, which the lead animator had to work around when animating facial features. According to the creator of the Amazing Digital Circus, Gooseworks, Kinger is the tallest in the cast, meaning that Jax's ears are not a part of their height. Kinger's voice actor is Sean Shiplock. If you look closely at Kinger's eyes, you will see that they are completely asymmetrical at times, meaning that they don't line up. Malfunctioning Eddie from the hit TV show Futurama was actually a big reference when creating and designing Kinger. The show creator Gooseworks has stated that Kinger is the only character that they do not have anything in common with, but also stated that this does not mean that they don't like the character. Kinger is the first member who was trapped in the Amazing Digital Circus. That implies that he has something to do with the creation of the Digital Circus. When Jax is telling Pomni about Kinger, he says that he has supposedly been there for the longest, which means that he may have not been the first. Considering that the cast lives in a computer world, Kinger referring to a bug collection could either mean computer bugs or real-life insects. Kinger isn't known to be very brave, proven by the fact that he hides in a pillow fort, and is generally not much of a help to the rest of the cast. Even though he isn't known for his bravery, he still does care for his friends. This is shown when he goes to help Zubul from the Gloinks despite winning a rock, paper, scissors game, deciding if it would be Kinger or Gangle to go help Zubul. Jax thinks that the reason for Kinger being so unstable is because of how long he's been in the Amazing Digital Circus, which would make sense because of everything he has seen and been through, possibly including abstraction of a loved one and or of close friends. Kinger generally isn't all there in his brain, which may be a good thing because he doesn't hyperfixate on any ideas enough to abstract in the first place, because we all know he would probably just forget if he tried to abstract. Kinger seems to be the only character in the Digital Circus who came with someone. Maybe this is why he made it so long. It seems he isn't crazy in the way that Kaufmo was because he has suffered a severe loss. When asked for an out-of-context quote from the next episode, the show creator Gooseworks responded huffing paint and not waiting for a designated break, which is just so random that I think this line will be said by Kinger. Kinger's eye color is teal blue, which in real life is quite a rare eye color, with only 8 to 10% of people having blue eyes. When asked on Tumblr what Kinger and Zubul will look like while they eat due to their lack of mouths, Gooseworks responded like this. Gooseworks stated that the reason Kinger knew about Gastral Giveaway is because he saw it in a vision one night after eating 2 spoons of gravel? What? It appears that one episode of the Amazing Digital Circus will feature Kinger's backstory and showing him as a broken man. Gooseworks confirmed that Queenie and Kinger are not siblings, so they are either friends or lovers. Kinger is a white chess piece, and Queenie is a black chess piece, which should mean that they are natural enemies. But not in this case, their colors have no relevancy to their relationship, that we know of at least. When asked if Kinger has any shred of happiness or joy left in his life while trapped in the Amazing Digital Circus, Gooseworks said that we will have to wait and see, which makes me think that maybe we will see some good news for Kinger in later episodes of the show. Gooseworks' favorite out-of-context line from the Amazing Digital Circus is, "Jax!
We found the Zubul hole,"
which is said by Kinger in the first episode of the show. In the comic canon, Kinger is just a PNG of a chess piece with no facial features or clothes or even anything. According to a user on Tumblr, the Russian Digital Circus community ships Bubble and Kinger? Surprisingly, Gooseworks seems pretty chill with this fact. According to Gooseworks, we will see what Kinger's problem is, quote, in due time. This makes me excited for future episodes because hopefully we will see why Kinger is so out of his mind compared to the rest of the cast in the Amazing Digital Circus. The name spinner that Kane uses to choose Pomni's name in the pilot episode has 5 letters, but Kinger's name contains 6 letters, which means that either Kinger's name would be obtained in a different way or it was shortened from something else, like Kengar or Kenger. The voice actor for Kinger has done voice acting in many other popular projects, such as Genshin Impact, The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, and many more. If Kinger's hands can be detached from his body, then there is a large likelihood that his eyes could also be detached. But how that would or could happen is not exactly clear. Kinger has a very short attention span, as shown by the fact that he just constantly forgets everything. He also gets startled all the time and screams for literally no reason. In my opinion, Kinger is the funniest character. If given the choice between a sword or a shield, Kinger would choose a gun. These are 50 facts you didn't know about Pomni from the Amazing Digital Circus. Pomni is the newest circus member in the cast, with the show's first moments depicting her arrival in the Digital Circus. Pomni is one of 2 characters with proper circus attire, the second being Kane. which makes me wonder why no one else has circus outfits on. Pomni is confirmed by the show creator Gooseworks to be 25, which means that if the show was taking place in present time, she would have been born in 1998. Pomni has a red and blue color scheme. Pomni is a jester, which is another thing that is commonly associated with the circus. It is theorized that Pomni worked at CNA, the company responsible for the digital circus. And we know this because of the scene where she goes crazy looking at the computer and headset, as it's implied that they were her desk and headset. Pomni is the main character of the Amazing Digital Circus. Pomni's name was going to be Exdidica before Kane changed it to Pomni. Pomni's voice actor is Lizzie Freeman. She is also the third youngest character in the Amazing Digital Circus, behind Jax and Zubul, who are both 22 years old. Pomni may have been tricked into putting on the headset, because she immediately tries to leave once she realizes where she is, instead of being more surprised like a normal person would be when they put the headset on for the first time. Pomni pretty much forgot everything in her life, including her name and everything else besides the fact that she got in there by putting a headset on that she can now not take off, as she repeatedly tells herself that everything going around her is just simply a dream, even though we know this is not the case. Pomni is one of 3 unique characters that actually have something to do with the circus. She is a jester, something commonly seen in a circus. Kane is the ringmaster, and Kaufmo was a clown. These characters are all associated with a circus, but the rest of the characters have really nothing to do with it. Jax is a rabbit, Ragatha is a doll, Kinger is a chess piece, and Zubul is just a mess. Pomni made a few appearances in SMG4, another one of Glitch Productions shows. This makes her the only Amazing Digital Circus character to have made an appearance in SMG4. Pomni means remember in Russian. Maybe this means that Pomni will remember how she got in this digital circus and try to find a way out. Pomni is one of the only characters to get an official plush released, with Jax of course being another one. Quote unquote a new era, a video posted by Glitch Productions to celebrate their 1 millionth subscriber. And this is the first ever video that had Pomni's appearance as a subscriber milestone for the Amazing Digital Circus, and it revealed the Amazing Digital Circus. Pomni's real name is currently unknown, but I have a feeling we are gonna find out what it is very soon. On March 20th, 2023, a user named Does1771 on Steam made a fan-made model of Pomni into the series of Gary's Mod, which would be the exact model used for her cameo in SMG4, because as we know, SMG4 is filmed in Gary's Mod for parts of the show. It is possible that Pomni is simply a copy of the real-life Pomni's consciousness, because when Pomni visits the office, we see that the headset is off. According to the show's creator Gooseworks, her clothes are attached to her body, meaning that we won't see her in any different outfit because her clothes are already a part of her. So please just stop making weird fan art about that. Pomni is very anxious and mentally fragile, as well as she is extremely cautious. Despite wanting to leave the circus, Pomni is very kind. Even though she might be in danger, she still checks up on Ragatha after the attack from Kaufmo. Despite Pomni's name being quote-unquote you remember, she doesn't remember anything besides putting on the headset before entering the circus, which is quite ironic. Despite being the main character, it is very possible that Pomni will abstract, as she is shown to be erratic and generally mentally fragile. According to Gooseworks, Pomni's sharp teeth return in episode 2 and 3. I have no idea what this means. On Tumblr, Gooseworks said that if Kaufmo and Pomni had met, they would get along great. This is most likely because they share a common goal of finding an exit. This is shown in the pilot episode. It's also pretty likely because they are both clown archetypes, with Kaufmo being a clown and Pomni being a jester. This is what Pomni would look like if she was a frog. This art is from Gooseworks, and it kind of keeps me up sometimes wondering why she made it. Pomni is apparently really good at accounting. This could be a hint as to what her job at CNA could have been. When Gooseworks was asked to give a random quote from Pomni in episode 2, Gooseworks answered with quote unquote, huh? I wonder why Pomni will say this in episode 2. Or maybe this was just a sly remark and Pomni won't even be in episode 2, but I kind of doubt that. Out of all of the characters in the circus, Pomni would apparently be the worst at cooking. I wonder why that is. At one point in development, Pomni was going to be a boy, and Jax was going to be a girl. That would have been weird. Here are some facial expressions for Pomni drawn by Gooseworks. Gooseworks got inspiration for Pomni from jesters. While Pomni was having a mental breakdown at the table, the rest of the gang was talking about compost? What? This is one of the first art concepts for Pomni. I don't know if this was a joke or if this is serious, but I'm confused why she looks like a frog here. Wait a second, male Pomni would have looked pretty much the exact same as female Pomni. There's only one image of this here. Despite being the main character, there's a high likelihood that Pomni will abstract in a future episode of the series. Pomni has some kind of special powers. In the first episode, when Pomni and Ragatha both end up glitching out and coming into contact with Kaufmo, Ragatha tells Pomni to go find Kane, who is able to help them. After Ragatha is healed, though, Pomni looks at her hand, which is fixed despite Kane not having anything to do with helping Pomni, only Ragatha. That either implies that Pomni has powers that the others don't, or everyone just has this power and they don't know yet. Or a third possibility is that Kane just healed everyone, and I think that's the most likely. Extudica, when put through a Caesar cipher decryption key, pulls out the word "Uit," which is obviously an Easter egg hinting that Pomni will escape or try to escape the amazing digital circus. But there's more to this Easter egg, which I will get into in a moment. On the name spinning wheel, if you look above Extudica on the wheel, you will see more letters. These say PNNCM, which when put through the same Caesar shift, we get the first set of random letters. And then we get Gitted, but when we read this in order, we get Gitted Uit, or Get Out. This is a very interesting Easter egg that may be hinting towards future episodes of the series. Pomni was one of the first introduced characters in the Amazing Digital Circus. She is shown in the show's announcement trailer when Kane throws sharp weapons at her while she is tied to a dartboard. While Kane says, quote unquote, she won't even die horribly. It is suggested that Pomni is somehow different from the rest of the circus cast. Not only can she allegedly heal her glitchy hand, but she also seems to be the only one who has really found the exit doors that lead to the office room. And she's also the first to go into the void, that we know about at least. I think Kaufmo actually did this before Pomni. Pomni being a clown like Kaufmo suggests that they might have some sort of connection, because besides Kane, they are the only circus cast members with circus attire. Whether Pomni is some sort of recreation of Kaufmo or is related to him via family or some other way is unclear as of now. Lizzie Freeman and Elsie Lovelock have both voiced the character Meggie, making Pomni the second character that they've shared. This is quite a coincidence, but also an interesting story. Every time that Pomni is stressed or anxious, she is shown with black scribbles in her eyes, where her pupils should be. This is a common cartoon trope, and it's cool to see it included here. Because Pomni is transported from her world, the real world, into a fantasy world, this technically makes the Amazing Digital Circus an isekai, a popular genre of anime and television shows. When asked if characters were being mischaracterized in the pilot, Gooseworks said that there was a whole nother side to Pomni that we didn't get to see. This makes me wonder if Pomni is evil or even has a kinder side to her. When you go to thewackywatch.com, you get a video of Pomni asleep in her bed. This may possibly be hinting at what will happen in episode 2, but we will just have to wait and see. These are 50 facts you didn't know about Ragatha from the Amazing Digital Circus. Ragatha is 30 years old, which makes her the second oldest character in the circus just behind Kinger. Ragatha's voice actor is Amanda Huffer. Gooseworks has said that her least favorite character to draw is Ragatha, although I can kinda see why this is because she's definitely one of the more detailed characters. Ragatha's design is based off of the Raggedy Ann doll. Ragatha is described as the sweetheart optimist of the circus. This optimism isn't as simple as it looks though, because she appears to be constantly forcing a happy attitude to keep herself sane, brushing off a lot of serious scenarios like they're nothing. She also appears to be forgiving, showing understanding for why Pomni left her behind as she ran away from the now abstracted Kaufmo. By the end of the pilot episode, after Pomni has abandoned her for a second time, her patience is worn thin and she tries to avoid Pomni, showing that she does have some sort of breaking point but tries to hide it to avoid conflict. Her name is a porfmew of a rag doll and the feminine name Agatha. Ragatha's design is a reference to Raggedy Ann from the 1977 film Raggedy Ann and Andy, the musical adventure directed by Richard Williams, as well as the adaptation of her stories with the same name by Johnny Grewley. According to Twitter, Gooseworks has an unhealthy obsession with the Raggedy Ann and Andy, a musical adventure film in which before the first look of Ragatha, she's constantly posting tweets related to the film. Ragatha also looks like Maudie Cottle from Bump in the Night. Gooseworks has confirmed that Ragatha has been in the circus the second longest next to Kinger. Ragatha's only real fear is a fear of centipedes, which Jax loves to mischievously exploit. When Gooseworks was asked why Ragatha seemed angry at Pomni by the end of the pilot episode for not helping her, when she had previously said that she understood if Pomni wouldn't, Gooseworks responded with saying Ragatha will say things that she doesn't necessarily mean, if she thinks that they will ease tensions. While sitting in the halls after the abstracted Kaufmo had attacked her, Ragatha's eyes and nose bounce around for a short moment while speaking to Pomni. The way they do is very reminiscent to the video game Pong. Ragatha's original name was Emmy, but was later changed to Ragatha. I think this fits her a lot better. Gooseworks confirmed on Tumblr that Ragatha likes horses. I wonder why. Ragatha can also play the cello, apparently. Ragatha can see out of the button on her eye. Although that doesn't really make sense, but to be fair, a lot of things don't make sense in the Amazing Digital Circus, so I'm just gonna go with it at this point. Ragatha's appearance resembles that of a living ragdoll, with red yarn-like hair, a flat reddish-orange triangular nose, and one purple button eye. She wears a long blue dress, which often appears to be dark purple due to lighting. She wears a white undershirt, and the bow in her hair matches her dress. She also has a light beige skin tone and a black pupil in her actual eye. Her feet are designed with squares at the bottom resembling shoes. Every walking animation is unique for every character. In Ragatha's case, she's given a firm walk with her arms swinging from side to side. And when she is running, she turns into desperation and moves in the way that a ragdoll would. In the concept arts, we can see a different version of Ragatha drawn in a different style wearing pigtails. But she keeps having black dots for eyes, as well as wearing the same outfit with rosy cheeks. When Pomni first arrives, Ragatha immediately tries to help out. This shows that she cares for the other members of the circus and genuinely just wants to help out. Ragatha is very prone to falling. As we can see in the introduction video when Jax trips her, the pilot episode when she gets flung around by abstracted Kaufmo, and also in this image uploaded to Glitch's Twitter showing Ragatha falling on the chessboard. Another promotional image from Glitch shows Kane holding little Ragatha like an actual ragdoll. This is pretty interesting and could hint that we might get a Ragatha plushie in the future. Ragatha is way too nice, even to the point where when she gets hit in the face by a cleaver in the promotional video, she still keeps a positive attitude. She definitely has to be the nicest character. Ragatha's name could not have been chosen by the name wheel because it is over 5 characters long. We have not seen the inside of Ragatha's bedroom yet, but hopefully we will see it later in future episodes. Ragatha definitely has the biggest heart in the circus, and the only person who can annoy her is Jax. Speaking of Jax, it seems like Jax and Ragatha have a lot of beef between them. This is probably just Ragatha getting tired of dealing with Jax after all these years, and to be honest, I don't think I could survive being trapped with Jax. That just sounds like straight up torture. It's more likely that Ragatha developed some sort of Stockholm syndrome from being in the Amazing Digital Circus for such a long time, and it has been previously confirmed by Gooseworks that she has been trapped there the second longest, right behind Kinger. Ragatha has very fluid motions. These motions are inspired off the Raggedy Ann doll, which her character is based off of. Ragatha has a mom-esque personality whenever she's talking to Pomni. This is most likely because she just wants to help her out. Kane cured Ragatha of the glitch at the end of the episode, but it seems like a lot of time passes between these events, and it makes me feel kinda bad for Ragatha. And it's not even like she lashed out at Pomni for this either. Instead, just kinda turned in a disappointed way. When Ragatha encounters abstracted Kaufmo, it kinda sounds like she has seen something like this before.
Hey. I've been looking for this. Thanks for keeping an eye on it, Coffee. I'm gonna head out. See ya.
Oh! Kaufmo's been abstracted. That's okay.
What is that?
It might be that terrible thing I was talking about earlier when you reach your breaking point.
Ragatha is one of the 4 female members in the circus. It is unknown why Gooseworks has such an obsession with the Raggedy Ann dolls, but because of that, Ragatha is a character, so I'm not gonna complain. Ragatha has a different voice actor for every single different language that Ragatha is voiced in. Ragatha is one of the most liked characters in the fan base, but she's definitely not the most likes. Jax takes that title by a long shot, followed closely by Pomni, and maybe Ragatha could be 3rd, but at the end of the day, it's all just personal preference. Ragatha is the 4th most shown character in the pilot episode, clocking in at 5 minutes and 37 seconds of screen time. At the dinner scene at the very end of the pilot, Ragatha sat at the very end of the table talking to Kinger of all people for some reason. This is pretty strange though, because Ragatha and Kinger have had 0 interactions in the pilot episode, besides this I guess. I wonder what would have happened if Ragatha was sent with Kinger and Gingle instead of Jax. I wonder how that could have played out differently. And finally, for the last fact, Ragatha looks like she's been hiding in a lot of emotions, making her a potential candidate for abstracting next. These are 50 facts you didn't know about Gingle from the Amazing Digital Circus. I thought that she was a boy, but Gingle's actually a girl. Gingle is the first circus member in order that is sung in the intro. It is unknown why she is first and if it plays any significance in the show. Gingle is one of the main characters in the Amazing Digital Circus, which is why their name is sung in the intro. Gingle is made of red ribbons wound up and scrambled into a shape of a humanoid form. According to Gooseworks, the creator creator of the amazing digital circus, Gangle is 26 years old, which is weird because they cry so much, and I would think that they are a young child. Gangle has 2 masks, a comedy mask and a tragedy mask. These determine Gangle's mood. Fun fact about the masks Gangle wears. They are a common logo or sign of a drama club or theater because they represent various emotions, sadness and happiness. In some promotional artwork, Gangle is actually shown with a 3rd mask, which is a reference to another video made by Gooseworks' Blue Channel Taliesin. The video in question came out in 2021 and it is still up on YouTube to this day, so go check it out if you are interested in some spooky content. Whether this mask has any kind of significance to the show is yet to be determined. Gangle is voiced by Marissa Lenti, an agender 31-year-old from New York. They also voice acted in One Piece, Hat in a Time, and The Class of '09. Gangle has black eyes, but sadly we don't know if there's a single thought behind those dead eyes. Gangle's body is actually made up of 4 red ribbons, 1 for their body, 1 for both their arms, and 2 for their legs. Their head is just made up of a comedy mask and tragedy masks. Gangle is the 3rd oldest member of the circus. Jax and Zubul are 22, Pomni is 25, Gangle is 26, placing her right in the middle, Ragatha is 30, and Kinger is 48. Gangle is the last one to fall over during the intro. This is when the joke of Gangle constantly having her mask broken starts, because when she falls, her mask shatters into pieces, leaving her with only a tragedy mask, which makes her sad again. To make things even worse, when the mask falls and breaks, Jax steps on it right in front of Gangle, seemingly on purpose, which makes Gangle even more upset. Poor Gangle. When Ragatha, Pomni, and the rest of the gang are talking about meeting Kinger, Gangle is the only one who remembers that they have to save Zubul, saying, "What about Zubul?" This shows that Gangle is a very caring and kind person. Gangle and Kinger are the only ones that end up having to save Zubul from the Gloink Queen, but Jax ends up joining them, but not after he knocks both of them into the hole Kinger dubbed as the Zubul hole. Whenever Gangle stands next to Kinger, he forgets that she is there, beginning to scream loudly. This happens twice or maybe even 3 times throughout the episode. According to Gooseworks, Gangle is really good at drawing and loves it quite a lot. Their favorite thing to draw is apparently anime. Gangle's favorite anime is Azuma Doya. Not gonna lie, Gangle is based for that, but Lucky Star is better. Sorry, Gangle. Despite representing acting and drama, Gangle admitted to not laughing at Kaufmo's jokes, which makes me feel bad for him. You would think that Gangle could at least fake laugh for him, right? The slide Gangle, Kinger, and Jax go down looks like some sort of ribbons on Gangle's body, so maybe there's a connection here. Let me know what you think. Because Jax decided that he didn't want to help Zubul, Gangle and Jax play rock, paper, scissors to decide who the loser is that has to go get Goobel. Despite losing and being upset about it, Kinger runs to go heroically save Zubul, an effort required with the stealing of his hands by the Gloinks. Poor Kinger. When the rest of the circus cast discovers that Kaufmo has been abstracted, Gangle looks almost confused. You'd think that everyone would be able to guess that Kaufmo is going crazy, but Gangle acts like it is a crazy thing. Maybe there's something darker at play here, like Kane sabotaging the cast or something. Gangle's mask is on a sock and buskin, which are theater masks that represent comedy and tragedy, which are 2 of the 9 muses, daughters of the Greek gods Zeus and Musaeum. According to the Greek mythology, the comedy mask is known as a Trilla, and the tragedy mask is known as a Metaphorline. Her tragedy mask is seemingly more durable and sturdy than her comedy mask. While the comedy mask is broken after a single fall that tumbled to the ground, the tragedy mask endured 2 similar hits with no visible damage. Maybe this is a metaphor for how human emotions work, because we are often sad or upset more than happy, and ruining a good mood is indefinitely easier than getting rid of a bad mood. Gangle's name comes to the fact that her body is gangly, which means to move ungracefully. Gangle's favorite One Piece character, according to Gooseworks, is Chopper. I can't even lie, Gangle's so real for this. Gooseworks revealed at Glitch X that Gangle's name was made up by Jax, which of course isn't even surprising because Jax makes fun of literally everyone. The word gangle is used for something that is moving ungracefully, an example being Gangle gangled down the hall, which would mean that she is moving ungracefully, and I mean, look at her, how does she walk with those tangled legs? Despite having the dorsalistness mask, canonically, Gangle only has the 2 shown in the actual show. This is revealed by Gooseworks during Glitch. At the end of the pilot, when Pomni stares menacingly at the camera, Gangle and the rest of the gang are having an unheard rioting convention about compost? Not sure why that's something they're talking about, but they're talking about it. Gangle apparently has a body pillow of an unspecified character. Gangle is just as freaky as the moon, I guess? Jax picks on Gangle at first. This is because she has the most insecurities and the biggest emotions in the group, making Gangle a very easy target. I feel bad for Gangle. Gangle's nickname from Jax is Crybaby. He isn't necessarily wrong though. I just kind of feel bad. Gangle is inspired from Kenemendo from Poppy the Performer, a 2000 to 2001 3D animated computer graphics show from Japan. on. Outside of the Amazing Digital Circus, we do not know much about Gangle. We don't know how Gangle even got in the circus in the first place, what she looked like, or even what her name was. I hope we find out more information about her soon. In the Meet Gangle short posted on Glitch Productions YouTube page, we see Gangle looking at us and just waving with a cute face before we see Jax's hand creep up on the frame and put Gangle to the ground, which of course causes Gangle's comedy mask to fall on the ground and split into two. Two users of the Amazing Digital Circus wiki decided that Gangle could fit in a tiny cardboard box with, quote, not many issues. Trust me, this will be important to the show's lore. Maybe Gangle's attitude about constantly crying is a reference to her frail body, because she has frail emotions. Because we don't know the character's age in the Amazing Digital Circus, it's possible that Gangle cries so much because she has entered the digital circus at a young age and never truly grew up. This would explain the great gap in age between Kanger and everyone else in the cast. Even though I like her a lot, Gangle is my least favorite character. The crying does get annoying, and I'm not the biggest fan of her design. As shown in the pilot episode, Gangle's entire body can unravel, but we can also easily put her back together. There is a theory going around that the reason Gangle has these masks is because she is always sad, and this is because she is masking depression in real life. Smash the like if you have depression. Despite not having eyes like most of the other gang, Gangle can still cry. Gangle is one of 3 characters who has proper circus attire, Pomni and Kane being the only 2 with Jester and Ringmaster attire respectively. While Gangle has her comedy mask on, she is happy, cute, and very helpful, but she becomes a wreck when her mask breaks, which is almost always Jax's fault. Damn you, Jax! Despite constant harassment from Jax, Gangle seems to like Jax quite a lot. Maybe they don't realize that Jax is bullying them or just wants to be a bigger person. Gangle's Indonesian voice actor is Melidi Purudi Peru. If Gangle ever has an official plushie made of them, Glitch Productions might have a hard time due to the floating or disconnected parts on our design. These are 50 facts you didn't know about Bubble from the Amazing Digital Circus. Gooseworks herself voiced Bubble in the pilot. It's just her voice with a filter that makes it higher pitch. And it's kind of funny to think that Bubble is a boy, even though Gooseworks, who plays him, is a girl. Apparently, according to Gooseworks, Bubble is her least favorite character. Cain and Bubble are a reference to the biblical brothers Cain and Abel. Bubble's favorite food is vomit, as shown in this clip right here.
Whoa! Clean up on aisle U!
I'm on it, boss!
Why are you like this?